What are you gruffing at?
Says, what's
this
that?
is my
What's
little.
that?
This is my little man cave. It's 4 foot wide.
Is it?
I say it's 14 foot. I've only got 7 because the wife claimed the other 7 foot. So we've got 7 foot each.
Brilliant. What is it? Is it a shed out in the garden, or is it a room in the house, or what?
No, it's a shed in the garden because when I had my big accident, the lounge became my hospital ward.
Right.
And I just needed something that would get me out of the hospital ward. So when I was in the wheelchair, me and my middle lad, I ordered a shed, and with my instruction, he built it.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, there is already a whole load to talk about there, folks. Lee, are you all right if we crack on straight away, or do you want to have a wee chat first?
No. Yeah, crack on.
Right, we'll just get straight into it then. Folks, welcome to Brew Time episode, I think this is 80. Can't believe we've got 80 already. And here is Lee Vigor, also known as Buddy the Biker Dog. How are you?
Yeah, well, he's the buddy.
Well, he's Buddy. We've got Buddy with us.
Yeah. I wish he'd carry me around.
I mean, how about we just start straight away? I mean, there's a whole backstory to you and obviously what you do. You've been a professional motorcycle test rider for decades, but shall we just cover Buddy and the whole social side of things first, and then we'll go into like you and what you've been up to, where you come from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Buddy, it all started. It started in a wheelchair after 2018. I'd had a big accident, and it just mentally destroyed me. Physically, I was broken, but I knew I was going to get out of it. But they told me I'd got to stay in it for at least 8 months, and it just destroyed me. So after physio one day, my wife being, well, she's a woman, so she's a smart cook, isn't she?
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
Yeah, she knows. So
I know, they all know.
She took me on a bit of a road trip, and we ended up. We didn't know it was a puppy farm. It was just she'd found a Chihuahua on the social media, one of the sites, Pre-Loved, I think it was. Yeah, and she dragged me along. I got back in the car, and I've had some morphine, and I'm floating all the way there. And we got there. We didn't go to look at him. Unbeknown to me, there was 2 other puppies running around. And out the corner of my eye, I spotted him, his nibs. He was in a cage. He was 5 months old. He weighed less than a pound, got no fur on him. And while the woman had disappeared for 5 minutes, I said to my wife, here, let him out. Because he was giving me the eye. He was just, who are you? What's going on? Yeah. So she let him out. And he come running over to me. I scooped him up, put him on my lap. And we've been together ever since.
And that was that.
That was that. She didn't want to sell him, and I just gave her one of 2 choices. You either take the money, or I'll take him anyway. Either way, he's coming home with me.
Isn't it weird how animals just do that? Animals can just select you, can't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he found me. I'd say we'd gone to look at another dog. And later on that day, I shouted to the wife. I was back in the hospital bed, and I shouted to her, I says, he's shit. You have to come pick it up. And she shouted back, get in your wheelchair, pick it up. It's your responsibility.
Brilliant.
And from that moment, it just gave me a purpose, I suppose, to get in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I started getting in it. And that was us pretty much for 6 months. He sat on my lap. We were pulling wheels. I did wheelies everywhere. Just because it was more comfortable to sit in that position. So we were 2 wheels everywhere. And then we went to the mobility scooter. And I never really envisaged putting him on the bike. It wasn't anything that, that had cropped up in my mind. We just spent time together. He helped me for a lot of dark times, for sure. And I think it was the 2nd of January 2019. I'd done 6 months in the wheelchair up until the December. And they says you can start getting out of the wheelchair now. I was 2 months in front. And I think that's down to him basically making me get in it every day and doing my physio. And I said to the wife, I've got to get back on the bike. I've got to go for a ride. So I'm pinching your bike. She got a street triple 765. And So I got my fold-up walking sticks, and she got it out for me, and I shuffled to it. I sort of threw myself on, folded my sticks up, strapped them to the back, and off I went. And I did 250 miles. I come back, and she says, "You can never, ever leave him here again." He sulked for 2 days.
Did he?
He just, totally so. He did. He was like, "You went somewhere without me." So I made him the buddy pod. And the day after the buddy pod, he was sat on the bench here, because this was a bit like a craft thing. It just gave me somewhere to come and be creative, I suppose.
Yeah.
Watched a lot of YouTube in here, that's for sure. In the early days, that's when I found YouTube. And you know what, mate? And he basically, I made it for him. He slept in it while I was faffing around in other stuff. Anyway, we went out the next day. We went up to sports bike shop in Boston.
Yeah.
Rode there and back. And as we were coming back through Grantham, I was at set traffic lights by the McDonald's. I don't know if you've ever come through Grantham that way. And all of a sudden, this crazy woman jumped out in front of me, scared the life out of me, and then he fell off the bloody bike. And she started taking photos of him. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's amazing, that's amazing." and in turn, that sort of kicked me into thinking, maybe I can use this to raise money for charity. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can do something positive with it, you know. So we started raising money for Air Ambulance 2019. Mm-hmm. And we went to Rugby Bike Fest, was the first one we did. And I parked the bike next to the Air Ambulance stall and put him in his tank bag. And we filled up 2 pots that day. Brilliant. Everybody just kept going up saying, "Can I take his photo?" And I says, "You can, but you've got to put some money in the pot."
Fantastic.
And that's how it started. And then, unfortunately, COVID sort of killed that, really.
Yeah.
And the fundraising didn't really carry on into 220, but we still go. We do everything, camping, you name it. Bought a kayak in lockdown, because paddle sports was the only thing you can do. The canal's like 5-minute walk from here. And we go kayaking, a bit of motorbiking, a bit of. So the social side of it really was, to start with, was to try and raise money. Mm-hmm. That's what it was all about. And YouTube was a big learning curve.
It certainly is.
But I started it more than anything, just to do something creative. I'd got a lot of time on my hands at the time. Mm-hmm. And I'd watched a hell of a lot of YouTube. I hadn't found YouTube till 2018 because I'd never had time to watch it. And then all of a sudden, but I watched it on the TV. So I didn't know that you could put comments down and give thumbs up. Yeah. But none of that made sense to me. It took my daughter to explain it to me. And so then when I made his account, I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, there's a whole different world here, you know." Yeah. And I quite like the fact that I've got just that small amount of people that I can talk to. We comment, we watch each other's videos, because there's quite a few small YouTubers that I follow. And I find the creative side of crap at it. But I find that it's people like yourself. It was yourself, Ricky Vida, TMF, but I pretty much only like watching his bike news, the odd review, if it was a trial, to be fair. But yes, bike reviews aren't really the thing that it was. What drew me to you was world travel.
Right.
And because you've been around the world, apparently.
I don't like to talk about it. I will. But...
And yes, that's how I sort of got into the YouTube. And then I suppose people like yourself inspire me to try harder every time. Because mine's only a small channel. I'm not inspiring to be famous, or I'm so used to being the Stig for the motorcycle world, you know, hiding it flybys behind bushes and just being a nobody, that I found it quite hard to be in front of the camera at first. It's quite hard to do. It's quite awkward, but I quite enjoy it. You know, I quite enjoy just the, I suppose, the challenge of it all.
And trying to make it's like a personal challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and if I can, for me, I probably, it's not so much the filming, it's the editing.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But you're quite fluid. I'm trying to master that. Well, I say master it. I just try to get better every video I do. Whether I do or not, I don't know. I get positive comments, and I quite like. I was listening to the Tins yesterday. They're hilarious, I got to say.
They are a great couple, aren't they?
They are, yeah. And he was on about negative comments. I don't get any of that. because I'm not big enough. I only get nice things said. You know, I suppose I'm too small for the trolls to bother with at the moment. So I quite like that.
That is a nice place to be. I don't mean this condescending. I'm not saying I'm Billy Bollocks, but I remember that stage when you're growing, you're starting to get a nice community there, like you said, where you get regular people coming back and people are engaging. It's a nice place to be, isn't it? And then it just seems once you start getting that little bit bigger, you start attracting the odd walloper, and it's just part and parcel of it. It's just part of it.
Do I want to get that? You know, because.
But then you meet
kindness.
Yeah, but you also meet.
I should say.
Oh yeah, cripey! We haven't started, have we? Let's crack on.
I bought Budweiser because it's Buddy the Budweiser. You see,
good man.
Because I'm not a big drinker, to be fair.
Because it's brew time. Slange.
Yeah, because it's brew time. Skull. It's the Viking in me.
That's good. That.
Viking,
yeah. Right, you mentioned, I mean, there's loads that we can chat about here, but you mentioned, what do you call it, the buddy pod? It's buddy pod, isn't it? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I called it the buddy pod. The first one I made, I'll take you on it. If you look on more so on his Instagram, you'll see there's pictures. There's the winter one, because it was winter. It was January when we first went out for a ride, and he's only little. I didn't want him to jump on now. I didn't want to get cold. So he's got it looks like a space helmet.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's a plastic drinking bowl from the pound shop. But what I did was, before I put him in it, I took the bike out with it on, and I took it up to naughty speeds just to see if it would survive without him in it, because I didn't want to put him in it and all of a sudden see my dog going one way in a bowl. Yeah. And to be fair, it's lasted. And but then that's too warm for the summer. So he's got his goggles, and he quite like being sticks out. He won't sit behind me. He'll have none of it.
Well,
he's got to be in front. No. My wife, I followed my wife for years. We've always social rode and obviously ridden together whenever possible.
Your wife's called Hayley, isn't it? Isn't she? Is that right, Hayley? Is that what I remember that right? Yeah, Hayley.
Yeah.
Hi, Hayley. How are you?
And she can't ride in front of me anymore. She has to go behind. So to wind him up, she overtakes me every now and again. And she'll do it where she knows I've got to work hard to get back past her. And he moans and he barks and he gives me dirty looks as if to say, you best get past her. And as soon as we go past, there's a couple of videos. There's a couple of videos where it's quite a while ago now, probably 2 summers ago. And he just gives her a dirty look as we go past, as if to say, you stay back there. I'm the leader of the pack.
You can see in any pictures and video, even now, folks, if you're watching the video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He just has character oozing out of him. I mean, he sat there in his tank bag, in his buddy pod, wearing his jumper, and although he's chilled out, he's just looking out the side of his eye at the camera, isn't he? Like, oh, hello. Hiya, buddy.
You talking about me?
Yeah. So for people who haven't watched the channel, or people who are just listening at the moment and have no knowledge of what a buddy, like the setup is, what the buddy pod is, it's basically it's a modified tank bag that you whack on the tank, and then Buddy sits inside it. And then, as you said, he has like a sort of little helmet that he'll wear during the winter, but he also wears biking goggles for during the summer. It's awesome, folks. You've got to watch the vids. It's brilliant. I'll leave links down below.
He has his hot water bottle as well. He quite likes his hot water bottle in the winter. But this is the new one. And we haven't tried it yet. He hasn't been out in this one yet. He pretty much just likes sitting in it at the moment. But he keeps looking at me to say when we're going out. Because the 2 buddy pods are on the Givey click system. Because we were using the Givey ring system for quite a few years now. So that's an Explorer. They're both Explorer tank bags that I converted for him. And but we've got a new beast to play with at the minute, and it hasn't got a tank. filler captives. So it was like, I've got to come up with something else. It's cost me a fortune. 160 quid for the bag, 160 quid for the bag look to cover. It's like, this is crazy. Maybe I should make my own.
I was just going to say, are there not companies out there that do it, that create like tank bags for dogs or animals? Because there's a few people out there.
This is the only one, which is the Bagster one. Okay. From Italy. It's the only one. I think that because in like America, they're not allowed to have them on the tank. It's illegal to have them on the front. And there's only really the UK and a lot of Europe where they'll allow it. You know, they'll allow the dog to sit on the front. So with a lot of the Americans, because it's amazing how many people take their dogs with them now.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all back carriers, they've all got these. I was watching one the other day, got a husky on the back. It just sits on a platform, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that with the paws over his shoulder and goggles. Yeah, I've seen that. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, I can only imagine trying to get my dog anywhere near my motorbike. She won't go anywhere near my bike. She's scared rigid of it. I mean, did he literally just jump in the bag and off you went?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I get quite a few people, obviously, they'll message me and go, how do I get my dog to do it? And I always say, you can't. Yeah. You can't make them do anything, and you shouldn't. You really shouldn't.
No, of course not.
It's a case of he just likes being with me.
Yeah.
So he's prepared, no matter what the transport is. I mean, mobility scooter used to be his favourite. He used to love the mobility scooter. I used to let him off for a walk, and he'd bark at me. I'm not walking. You let me back off. And he just used to sit there, you know, and he leans and everything.
Does he?
He does lifesavers. Oh, yeah, he does lifesavers. He cracks me up because we'll overtake a car and he looks at it. He'll get the looks and say, we're past you, that idiot.
Oh, man, the looks on people's faces must be amazing.
Yeah, I do get a lot of people trying to photograph us. Motorways is a nightmare. He pretty much, I think he can cause problems because they'll be in the fast lane and then I'm in the middle lane, and all of a sudden they wham the brakes on and got his missus like just smiling at me and I just give a thumbs up. So I think if he brings joy to people, that's Absolutely. A good thing, you know, if he makes them smile. I've had the odd comment, you know, why would you take your dog with you? Do you know what? I've worked both my kids, my eldest lads. They've been filling with me for thousands of miles. Mm-hmm. It's the same. You know, with him, I'd always ride with a little bit more consideration and than what you probably would if I was on my own or on a work bike, for sure. You know, first thing my boss at the time said at Triumph was, "You can't come to work with you."
Did he?
And I says, "You're right there." I says, because the amount of people that take photos, I'll be in MCN every 5 minutes.
Right.
So
that takes us neatly onto my next line of questioning. We'll come back. We'll chat about Buddy. Don't worry. We'll carry on that. And there's bound to be loads of questions all about Buddy and the channel and everything like that. Now, your sort of working origin, your bike origin, you tell people, where have you come from? In terms of bikes, where have you come from? Like, how long have you been riding? What got you into it?
Nothing special. I'm not a racer.
Nothing special. Wait till you hear this.
I'm nothing special. I'm not a racer. I'm not a stunt rider. I'm not any of that.
You're even better. You're even better than any of that. You've got the perfect job.
I didn't do my bike test till I was 30 years old. Mm. My mum was quite anti-biker.
Snap.
And my dad had a bike.
Yeah.
She pretty much made him get rid of that, you know. So my interest in bikes, I always had passion for them. I grew up in Longfield. Probably not far from you. You're down in Kent, aren't you? I grew up in Longfield. My mum and dad had the corner shop, if you've ever gone through Longfield.
Right.
On the
Just
mini roundabout.
Yeah.
You got the village hall on the... And that used to be the main route out from Brands Hatch. Mm-hmm. My dad used to make me walk up and down with sandwich board. Cold drinks for sale.
Really?
Yeah, that's slave labour, yeah. And because it was the main route at the time, I mean, I'm 50 now, it was just... amazed me, all the bikes that I'd see. And then I got to the age where we had our own little sneaky way into Brands Hatch. You know, we'd leave our bikes in the woods and over the fence. So I sort of grew up watching bikes. Before we moved to Longfield, because I was born in Rugby, my dad moved down for work. But my dad always took me to Speedway, and the smell.
The smell.
If you could make that into a perfume. I don't care how ugly you are, you're going to pull.
My mum's family are all from South London, from Penge in South London. So we used to come down from Aberdeen, sort of maybe once a year, once every couple of years we'd come down. And one of my uncles would take me, every time I came down, he'd take me and his boy, my cousin Dave, he'd take us to the Speedway, and I'd go all round, like, I've no idea where I went to, but I'd go to all these different places when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 till about maybe 9 or 10 years of age. And that's exactly what I remember from Speedway, the smell and the grit hitting you as you went round the corner. Loved it. Loved it. Yeah. Awesome.
So at 8:30, my mum turned up with an envelope and she paid for my bike test because I tried to do it when I was a younger man. I even bought one. It was in our bedroom for a while. I used to start it up when she upset me. Very happy. I'd start it, fill the house up.
In your room? In your bedroom?
Yeah. We lived in a masonette. So I used to hang my pants off it, stuff like that. It was a little XS 400 American import it was. Brilliant. And I just, because we had a family, and just never got around to doing it. And then when I hit 30, I did it. And I loved it. Loved every minute of it. And then in 2005, my wife, she's always ridden. She was a scoot scum. Mm-hmm. She was, proper scoot scum.
Yeah.
And I bought her a moped, a Vespa. I rode it once. Them things are dangerous. I was like, you need to have a motorbike. So I put her through a bike test. And then 5 days later, we've been out riding a week. 5 days later, I was on my way to work and a bloke hit me head on. I'd had the bike 6 weeks. I polished it more than Harley Davidson.
No.
I polished it more than I rode it. He just come out of a side road, wrong side of the road, hit me head on. I split the tank with my testicles, both pelvic bone, top and bottom, and smashed my left foot up. So that laid me up for a bit. And it just made me want to ride bikes even more, if I'm honest.
No, this wasn't the crash that led to Buddy, was it? This was right.
No. This was 2005. This was my first private accident. It's the only one I've had as a non-professional accident, if you like. Yeah. And then time's gone on, and I was a lorry driver at the time, and I didn't want to go back to it. So I bumped into a guy that I taught to drive a lorry, and not far from us, underneath, there's I don't know if you've heard it. It's called Myra. It's a proving ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
been there for decades. Rover back in the day did all their testing there. Everybody tests there. Jag, you name it. All from all around the world, they test there. It is an amazing place. There's like 50 miles of different tracks, different tests. Yeah. And he said, "No, I'm testing lorries and Jags at Myra." I said, "I'd love your job." I said, "You don't do motorbikes, do you?" And he said, "No, we don't actually. At the minute, we haven't got that contract." Anyway, a few weeks later, he knocked on my door. He says, "You've got a job." So I spoke to my boss, and because you're multi-license, I've got all the licenses.
I love this story.
Motorbike. He says, "You got a job?" And I'm like, "I'm looking for the cameras." I'm like, this can't be true. Even my mate said I was lying. They're like, "No, what do you mean you're going to be a multi-vehicle license tester?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm going tomorrow." So anyway, I went.
So the best job in the world.
And I started the following week, and I tested everything: tanks, lawnmowers. I don't know if you remember the 2012 Olympics. It was the worst job test I ever did, to be fair.
The one in London Olympics.
Yeah, they had these electric chariots, 3-wheel chariots. They were going to give to the security. You could run faster than these things. Mm-hmm. He says to me, "You need to go on the big track. It's nearly 3 miles long. Bank track it is." He says, "And you just got to ride it round flat out till it runs out." 3 hours later, I'm still stood on this pissing chariot. Round and round circles. But I smiled to myself thinking, "Do you know what? I'm getting paid for this."
Yeah. Can't argue.
You can't argue. Yeah, and I did cars and buses and trucks. And then all of a sudden they got the contract for Triumph for durability. Mm-hmm. And which basically means smashing them to bits, riding them and just breaking them. And because that was the job that their test riders didn't want to do. None of them wanted to take part in durability. They were quite happy doing all the other tests, but durability they outsourced. Right. And the company I worked for basically just supplied riders, drivers for whatever companies go to Myra. It's still there now, a company called PDA. And So they got the contract, and I don't know if you ever saw the Top Gear episode where they were there with the Rover Princess. You got the eggs above their heads, down, and all the doors fall off. Yeah, that's the Pave. It is the most brutal test known to man. I snapped 21 different bikes in half.
Wow!
In the 2 years that I did durability.
Did you ever do a GSX-R1000? Because mine fell apart 4 times.
No, it was just a Triumph. Were the only ones really doing it old school. A lot of them still do. They use rigs, but Triumph were the only ones that nobody tests like Triumph. I gotta say.
What, still to this day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Royal Enfield probably come a close second, but that's only because that's only because they brought their R&D to the UK. Triumph really are exceptional when it comes to and that's why they're class leaders, to be fair. That's why their bikes are so good, if the amount of testing they put in. So I was doing durability, pave, curb strikes. So, give your bike, say, just ram it up the curb at 30 mile an hour. Creek crossings, it's like a big concrete creek.
Yeah.
Go through that at 50 mile an hour so you can break it. And it was great. I used to love braking, because to make an engineer cry was quite rewarding. They spent a couple of, a year or so just doing everything on CAD, and it's great. Yeah, I'm going to smash that to bits. And they'd look at me and I'd go, going to smash that to bits. Second lap, that's going to break. And they'd be like, no, it won't. And it would.
Hold my beer.
I'd come back and they'd be like, yeah, it's broken, isn't it? Back to the drawing board. Once I couldn't break it, then it'd go on to the next stage, and it'd pretty much go out for road mileage and all the other tests, because once you can't break it no more. The first bike I ever broke was the Speed Triple.
Right.
And it was my first pave. I did 1,200 miles of pave is equivalent to 120,000 road miles. That's how brutal it is.
1,200 miles on that bumpy...
Yeah, is equivalent to 120,000 road miles.
1,200 miles on it. Jesus.
Yeah, so I'd worked it out.
Surprised you've got any teeth left.
I've done nearly 5 million pave miles, if you add it up as in what it's equivalent to. I paveed my lads as well.
What, with pillion on the back?
Yeah, you have to do it with pillion as well. You have to do half and half. So you've got to do... and you have to do it with luggage. Everything that's going to be on that bike, basically. So everything has to be tested. Everything's got to be tested.
Your poor bollocks.
I did make my eldest lad, throw up in his helmet on one occasion. He'd upset his mum. And
that's all right then.
Yeah, so I wasn't really talking to him, and you get to know every cobble. And the ones that are going to hurt. And we was on a Daytona. And,
my God.
Yeah, we hit a bump, and as he left the seat, I'd just get a little bit of throttle at the next bump, and the seat came up and met him on the way down. He was black from knee to knee for a week, and when we pulled into the car park, he fell off, and I looked down, and his helmet was just full of sick. And to be fair, he never upset his mum again.
If child services are watching, this is purely for effect. It never actually happened.
He's 28 now. There's no way he's coming back for that one.
Yeah, he was 11 at the time, but he's 28 now.
Yeah. So that was how I started really with Triumph. And I ended up running PDA, the bike section, because my boss was a lovely guy. He actually owns it now. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a clue about bikes. And I sort of just slid into that where I knew bikes. Bikes was my hobby. It was my passion. I just love bikes. And so I got a really good eye for different riders, because people would come and they got a license, but it didn't necessarily make them a good tester. Mm-hmm. And I've had some brilliant riders over the years with a lot of riding skill, but when it came to testing, they just didn't have the aptitude for it. And you go through quite a few. Because they'd have car licenses. You go, I've got another rider for you. Mm-hmm. And I'd just smile and go, okay, I'll have him for a day. And then you go, what do you reckon? I went, you can have him back. I don't want it. So I started to get a really good rapport with the bosses of R&D at Triumph. A guy called Nick Wilson, who's an absolute legend. And he's the guy that's basically responsible for the visitor centre
Okay.
That was his baby when he retired. He retired in 2018, unfortunately. And they just started to give me more opportunities to do different things. And it flourished from there. And it got to the point, end of 2014, I sort of had a falling out with the big boss that owned PDA. And I moved direct to Triumph as one of their test riders, which there was a totally different how you were treated. We were PDA scum, to the rest of Triumph, because we did durability that nobody else wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I started on road mileage probably late 2011. My first mileage bike.
Out on the road, put as many miles on it, see how the bike copes.
Yeah, pretty much. My first bike was the Daytona 675. And that was because I was still PDA at this time. That was because their riders, there was quite a lot of work on and nobody wanted to do the sports bike.
Right.
They were quite happy doing the Tiger 800, which was new at the time. Everybody wanted that for the comfort.
Yeah.
And so I did all the mileage on that bike straight for the whole project. I did, and I loved it, every minute of it. It was just a case of where do I go? Wherever you want. Okay. How many miles I've got to do? We'll just get on what you can get. And I was doing 300 a day, which was for a sports bike was quite acceptable.
Yeah.
And and as well as days as durability, and I just worked 7 days a week because it was like, why have a day off? If I have a day off, I've got to get my own bike out, and it's going to cost me to put fuel in. So I just keep working, and it was great.
Have you got Scottish blood?
Probably Viking. Yeah, it's the Viking in me, see. And then obviously my wife, she was never meant to be a test rider.
She's going to say Hayley is a test. Well, is she still a test rider now?
She's still testing. She's still. I mean, the work just isn't there at the minute, so it's quite a miss. But she's still testing. She's just finished a current mileage bike. She's waiting. She might wait for 2 months for the next one. Whereas that never happened to Triumph. There was never a day that there wasn't something that needed doing, that needed testing or needed mileage on it. And I got a phone call from Triumph, and I think that was about 2011. And they said, we need a pillion. Now, my wife's never worked because I was quite happy for her to bring up our kids and not work. But at this stage, 2011, she was ready, I think, she was going to be a midwife. This was her plan. She wanted to catch babies because we'd have had 20 quid if she left. If I let her, I should say. So she wanted to be a midwife. Anyway, this job came up for a month as a pillion for road mileage. And I rang her up. I said, there is an opportunity here for a month. Do you want to do it? Oh, yeah, it sounds all right. The money's good, So she came and did the month. And then my boss rang me up and he says, I've got a bit of news for you. He said, I've offered your wife a job. And I'm like, all right, okay. Yeah, she starts tomorrow on Pave. I'm going to put her because you have to attract, and she did durability for 2.5 years.
Blimey.
Some of the bikes are quite tall, so I mean, motocross things I have to catch her because she's quite small. But yeah, she's a good rider. She enjoyed it. She loved it, and she's done it for over a decade now. Never looked back.
Awesome.
We're getting older. I think we are probably the only married couple that would tell. I mean, at one point it was a proper family affair. She was out with my middle lad doing road mileage or on Pave. I got my oldest lad on the back because we were doing for 2 years. All I did was two up. That's all I did.
For 2 years?
From like 2000 when I started road mileage. I did the Daytona. Once that finished, the boss at Triumph says, "Can you do two up for us? We need lots of two up work doing." And I went, I'll get the pillions. I'll train them up because I think people think it's easy to find decent pillions, but you try and find a pillion that's going to sit on the back for 400 mile day in, day out, all weathers. It's not that easy. They're few and far between.
For your obviously on your is it Pave, on your Pave testing, the destruction testing, there's lots and lots of different surfaces and obstacles and things that you have to go over on the bike, and they will effectively damage the bike, won't they? They will do the job. But when you're road testing, how do you road test a bike? I mean, what's involved in that? whilst you're riding?
It's pretty much just being a customer, I suppose, in the sense of, obviously you become very critical, probably overcritical.
Right.
The shit sandwich has a big filling. Mm-hmm. But that's what's needed to develop a bike. Development takes nearly 4 years from start to finish.
Okay.
And that's pretty much industry standard. That's across the board. That doesn't matter if you do Caddy, BMW. It's pretty much from the time somebody draws it to the time you see it on a press launch. That's normally 4 years. Wow. If it's just a facelift, then you'd probably get it done in a couple of years. Because there's so much testing and that's got to be done. And Triumph is so good at that. They really are. And I've learned that more so since I've obviously come out of Triumph, unfortunately. And I thought, I've got 12 years under my belt, 13 years nearly. The CV's quite long and extensive. I've got to find work, no problem. There's just no work there. It's because nobody else tests. They're going to start doing it because things are changing within the British motorcycle industry for sure. Mm-hmm. Now we've got New Norton, BSA, opening their R&D up in the UK.
I've noticed BSA is starting to rear its head again. It's coming back.
Yeah, and ironically, all of these motorcycle companies have got Triumph ex-employees working there, because that's the thing that Triumph are really good at. It's not only making top-class motorcycles, they're really good at making top-class engineers. They're some of the best in the world because of the regime that Triumph put them through as engineers, and design engineers, and the amount of availability of testing that they can do on any part, any project is just, it's an open checkbook really, just to get it done. And that'll always make an engineer the best he's going to be, because all I am really is a tool. I'm a tool because engineers, it's all about theories. And the only way that they can prove if their theories work is if I go and ride the bike and I say yay or nay. I'll either prove that it'll work or I'll disprove it. Mm. And then if I disprove it, they have to go back to the drawing board and they have to rethink their own strategy. Mm. And I think that in turn makes them better engineers. And that's, I think, why Triumph, they do, as well as making amazing bikes, they make amazing engineers. And a lot of the engineers are everywhere. 80, 85, probably 90% of Norton is old Triumph.
Wow, is it?
There's quite a few at BSA. I was at the motorbike show and I was like, wow, BSA, wow, you've got, because COVID, I think, put Triumph into a bit of a panic. And August it was, 2020, they just wiped the board and 260 plus went engineers and people, the names that even I am still shocked at to this day, including yourself, that were just because they panicked. And then the motorcycle industry went into a boom of all things.
You were a victim, weren't you, of COVID? That's when you got laid off from Triumph, as you said, along with hundreds of other people. It's not just Triumph, was it? I mean, I think initially, I know from a different end of the motorcycle sector, 2020, those first sort of 3 or 4 months, I would say 6 months actually, of the COVID lockdown, everyone just put brakes on. I mean, I lost sponsors. I lost 3/4 of my sponsors literally in the first 2 weeks of the lockdown. I could see it everywhere. Like all the press departments just went, "Whoa, we're not doing anything."
Yeah, everybody in the panic mode.
Yeah, and then as you said, it was incredible, wasn't it? Because sort of 6 months into lockdown, I think when we had that first ease of lockdown, it was like people went to dealerships and just went, I want the bike. I'm buying the bike. And the whole sector, maybe not every single manufacturer for sure, but certainly your Harleys, your BMWs, I know Hondas have done well, Triumph have done well. People have just gone and started buying, haven't they? And it's only really this year that, I mean, I think even some of the dealerships I speak to, they're still seeing incredible sales at the moment, to the extent where they can't get the new bikes at the moment. They can't get the stock because of the chip shortage and everything else like that.
Yeah, and it pushed the second-hand market up.
It has.
I mean, we sold my wife's street triple to a lovely guy called Bob Sheldon at Stafford Triumph. Mm-hmm. He's got an amazing dealership. Really is, to me, it's one of the best that sort of showcases the brand. He's a lovely guy. And he actually gave me what I was asking for it for private sale. And I thought, wow, you know, and he's like, I'm just buying as much as I can second-hand stock because I've got new in the showroom, but I can't get you one till next year. You know, that was, and I was having people ring me going, do you know what? I want the new 900 Tiger, but they're telling me I can't get it till next March. And this is like August time. Mm-hmm. And they can't get it till next March, and they can't give me a price, and even then they can't guarantee. You know what, love? Can't guarantee. You know what? Can't guarantee that you're going to get it, and it was quite a boom. And I know that a lot of engineers took their redundancy, and then they got re-employed, so they managed to get a few back. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few that. Obviously, that upset that they were shortlisted for the chop in the first place. They went and found jobs elsewhere.
So,
which can only benefit the rest of the industry, really.
Exactly, because that knowledge and experience is now moving across into other manufacturers. Yeah,
exactly
sure.
that.
So, what state are you in now? Then, where are you now?
Well, I signed for Norton. On my birthday, actually, November. 2020, which I was really excited about because they were all ex-Triumph. There was a few of the old Norton guys there. They kept the best of what was there, but the majority, but they're just, like I say, 4 years, you know, to get a bike to the standard that it needs to be, and they've got a long road to travel. But I do believe that New Norton, as I call them, are going to end up being an amazing brand.
Yeah.
They really are.
Have you seen Lamb Chops? Sorry to interrupt. There's a little bit of a delay, folks. I do apologise. I'm not specifically trying to talk over people when they're on the podcast, but there is a slight delay. Have you seen Lamb Chops' video? He was one of, I think there was only two. Michael Mann was the other sort of journal, but they did a thing with Norton. Have you seen his vid at all?
Yeah, he went to the factory, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, they when I was working out of there, they were still pretty much building that inside. Right. It was still being put together. My old boss, he's actually he runs the workshop now, which was my old boss from Triumph. Right. And I still talk to him now, and they're still chipping away at it, and they've got a lot of work to do. That's and not only with making bikes, they've got a lot of work to do with the customers and the brand to make it great again. Mm-hmm. Because to be fair, what that man did, he should definitely be in jail. That's just my opinion. And that's not even for the money he took. For me, for the bikes that he delivered to people, I'm surprised nobody has become a fatality.
It was hearing. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No, go on. For me, he should be in jail.
Yeah, it was hearing the forgive me, I can't remember the name of the chap, but the sort of, I don't think was he the owner of New Norton that was on Chops' vid? But very high up anyway. He came on and he basically said, you know, they've found something like 60 critical errors in the last lot of Nortons, you know, that were released out to the public. And it was like, you know, we just, even with one of them, we couldn't release a bike, even with one. And they found something like 60 critical errors. So he basically said, we're starting again, and, you know, we're going to do it right. It looks an incredible setup. Yeah.
To be fair, what he was selling was concepts. He was selling concept bikes. They've not been tested. I rode that V4. There was actually 36 points of danger.
36, that was it. Sorry, yeah.
And I could agree with that. I can't obviously say too much about that because I'm still under an NDA. I would have thought, you know, but
I love that bike, the Chrome V4, and is it the Street Fighter version that they've done as well? Oh yeah. My God,
that V4. It was a concept, so nothing had been tested. But do you know what? With the development, because it still looks the same, and I would say that they've had to redevelop and test every part and obviously make things better. But what a bike. I tested it back to back with the BMW and the Ducati. BMW was a fantastic bike, as you know, you fell in love with it. Yeah, but for me, it was too clinical. It was too clinical.
Yeah.
It's
typical
too
BMW,
good.
Isn't it? It's typical BMW. It's too refined. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the 2007, 2006, 2007 Blade. Everybody kept saying, that bike's so boring. Yeah. No, it was just so well engineered that it felt very clinical. It didn't really have a personality. Yeah. It didn't. There was nothing there to really scare you. You know, it was so good at everything. And I think the BMW is the same. It's very clinical. It's an awesome bike. But for me, it just didn't light my fire. The Ducati Panigale I liked it. You know, it's a Ducati. But it was just too complex, and you needed to go to university just to work the clocks out. You know, let alone I had to Google how to start it, because you have to lift the kill switch out of the way to find the starter button.
I've never ridden a Panigale. Never taken any of them out.
I only found it because I Googled it, because I stood there for 15 minutes looking at a rock prat because I couldn't start the thing. So, and then, you know, YouTube, great.
Yeah.
I just start Panigale, tells you in 5 minutes.
Thank God for YouTube.
But it did have personality. But then that Norton, oh God, that thing gave me an hard on every time I rode it. It was, even though it was shockingly under-tested, there's nothing else like it. You know, so the original concept and everything else is amazing. The fact that it had never done any testing was shocking. But I do believe new Norton will have that. I can't wait. I hope I get to go back on it. I'm still hoping Norton will knock my door at some point and say.
I think Norton is going to be the brand. I don't think it's going to be the brand that, you know, most of us will be able to go along and buy, but I think it's going to be that exclusive brand, isn't it? It's going to be MV Augusta, but I think another level. It's just going to be the elite bike. Yeah,
the talent that they've got, that they've employed, is just next level. Like I say, most of it is ex Triumph.
Right.
You know, so you know it's going to be good. For me, I know it's going to be good.
I mean, we could keep chatting about all that, and we're going to go down various different avenues with the questions.
Yeah, that's wrong.
But something I want to cover is the accident that led you to Buddy. You know, can we cover there? What happened there?
The planets were aligned. I mean, at this point, I'd done over probably just under 900,000 miles. I'd done for Triumph, you know, within development miles, road and track, and never dropped a bike, never had a scratch. You know, you just go out every day, you do your job. And then on the 1st of June 2019, planets were aligned and everything went wrong. It just was a catastrophic day. I wasn't feeling it for one. I'd ran my wife up. I'd done my Cotswold route, which I normally do on a Friday. So I was coming back up through Stowe, Morton in the Marsh, up the Foss Way, the fast way as we call it. And I'd be on Tesco's and have a lunch. And I was on my dream bike, which is still my favourite bike of all time. And if I had the money, there'd be one in my garage. And I was the first test rider.
What is it?
I was the first test rider to get this model. I'll digress and go back a little bit.
Okay.
I did most of the miles on the T120, Bonneville, and I loved it, but it was always just missing something for me. And it did everything that the brief said it had to do, I mean, what it had to be, and it's an amazing bike. You know, it brought the Bonneville range up a level. But I kept saying I want an R version. Can't we just have an R version? I want something a bit more, you know, a bit more pep in it to go.
Yeah.
And they kept laughing at me, saying, "No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen." And I'm like, okay. Anyway, a year or so later, there it is. And it was basically the speed, what is known as the Speed Twin now, the Sip and Beg Thruxton. And it was like, for me, I melted as soon as I seen it. And really? I was like, oh, yeah. I begged to get on that project pretty much. And they did. They put me on it. And I was 8,000 miles in, and for a prototype, this bike still looked like it come out great. I polished it every day when I got home. I loved it. I've never had this bond with any bike at this point that I'd tested. But I think because I designed it in my mind a year or so previous, this was my dream bike. I loved it. Yeah. Every day, just loved it. Apart from this one day, I wasn't quite feeling it. I said to the wife, I says, I've done 260 miles. I had enough. It was a nice sunny day. And I headed back towards Martin in the Marsh. And just as I come round, I left into a right with a bit of a crest. There was a road sweeper minibus coming round the road sweeper on the wrong side of the road, right on the bend. Mm-hmm. And the car in front of me just panic braked. And it was like, plan A's gone because there's 3 vehicles. And I could see that there's just this little bit of grass to the left. Nice, soft, mossy grass. It looked lovely. And I pulled the front brake and it just flicked me. And it flicked me at 50 miles an hour. Yeah, it just flicked me straight into the car that was braking to miss the minibus.
Wow.
The minibus driver never stopped, and I still can't, to this day, I can't get over that. I don't see how somebody could leave somebody in the road.
Yeah.
And as I turned, I was quite low as it flipped me because I still wanted that grass.
Yeah.
Because it went straight up on the front wheel, and I just to the point where I knew I could stop it, but now I'm travelling quite fast on the front wheel, and I just pulled some more and it flipped me. And I left an imprint in the back of the car. It looked like something out of Roadrunner, out of the cartoon. Yeah. Wile E. Coyote, just left an imprint of himself in the car. Yeah. And it hit the bike hit the right, I hit the left, and the bike had a logger on it. The bike hit the car at 51.4 miles per hour. And I overtook the bike, so I was probably doing a little bit faster. And the only reason I'm still here is because I was wearing an air vest. And that's the thing that saved my life. I'd walked for 2 years. I'd done nearly 200,000 miles in it. Never thought I'd use it, but I wore it every day. It was part of my personal protection kit, if you like your crash helmet, your gloves, your boots. Yeah. And I cracked one rib. And that was my own fault because I got a pen in my inside pocket, and as the air vest went off, it cracked my rib. But as I sort of sat up and I looked down, my left leg was facing the wrong way. Oh. So I picked that up and flipped it over as some guy was screaming at me not to. But for me, it didn't look right. It was toe to toe. So I flipped it over, rang my boss up. I said, I've totaled my bike. I was quite upset more about the bike. He says, you all right? I said, I am now. I've turned my leg back round. I said, I'm all right now. I thought I broke my pelvic bone. And I said, I've got to go. I said, I've got to ring the wife. And the paramedics, because there's an ambulance station in Stowe, so they were quite quick, and the air ambulance was on its way. And they said, we want to give you some gas. I said, I've got to ring the wife first. 7 times I rang her. 6 times she didn't answer her bloody phone because she was upstairs. My lad answered it, and he said, I said, look, just put your bloody mother on the phone. I want some pain relief. Just, I said, I've had an accident. And as she was talking to me, the air ambulance were there. He's cut my trousers off. And I said, do you know where I'm going? He says, you're going to Oxford. And that was the luckiest part of the day, really. They took me to the John Radcliffe, and they saved my leg because it was an open tibia fib.
Oh, was it? Oh, God.
Yeah. The medic says, you turned your leg round. I says, I did. It didn't look right. He says, how did you know which way to turn it? I said, well, I didn't. He went, you was lucky. Because if I'd have flipped it the other way, it'd have just come off in my hand. It was just being held on by a piece of skin. And I thought I'd broke my pelvic bone, but I actually snapped my hip. I snapped the ball off the ball joint to the hip. I snapped it clean off.
Everywhere where you weren't wearing a vest, basically, by the sound of it.
Yeah. God. You can rebuild your legs. You can't rebuild your organs. I definitely wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that air vest,
I remember speaking to you at the NEC last year, actually, and I'd been put in touch with Peter over at Helite already to go and speak to, and I remember you saying you need to go and speak with them for sure. And
most definitely.
Yeah. So thank you, because I believe you've spoken with him as well. So. Yes, I've got one.
You one yet?
Yeah. I've started wearing it actually now. Yes, brilliant. And now, because they've changed the rules for track days, now you have to have a full back protector for any track day now. But apparently, they take an air vest as an equal, although allegedly it's even better than a back protector. Thankfully, they're acknowledging that, and they've said, no problem. Like I'm doing some stuff with California Superbike School, and you can wear the air vest for that. So hopefully I'll never need to test it like you did. But
you don't need to. I've already done it. Have you tested the E-Turtle? Is that the one he's given you? It's the E-Turtle.
That's the one I've got, the E-Turtle. So basically, folks, there's two different types there's various different vests, but you get ones that are tethered to your bike. So there's basically a strap that will go around like the frame of the bike. And then every time you get on the bike, you plug that into your vest. So obviously once you come off, it pulls and it will ignite the compressed air. Now for me, I thought, well, I'm lucky enough to get the option to ride a variety of different bikes, and they do this E version, which you're not tethered to the bike. It just has like a G sensor type thing. It's got a sensor built into the vest.
Yes, 7 sensors in there.
That's it. Yeah. So they look at like ultimately deceleration, I believe, of the body, or sudden acceleration of the body, and then that will activate the vest. So that's the one I've got. So you don't need to be tethered to the bike. Yeah, it looks an amazing bit of kit.
You don't need to test that one either, because I started in it 3 weeks ago.
Well, I tell you what, Lee, I'm going to do a bit of a vid on it once I've worn it for a while, and God forbid, hopefully I don't ever need to test the thing, but I'm going to wear it, and my review will hopefully just be on a practical sense of wearing it day to day and what you need to, because it needs to be charged every now and then and all this sort of stuff. But I'll come up to you, but I would love to chat to you on camera just for a couple of minutes and just get your point of view from wearing it. That would be great for a vid. We can chat about this after. Yeah. Don't feel compelled to say yes.
No, most definitely. Have you been to the Triumph Visit Centre yet?
No, I've not, no.
Well, we might as well do both. I'll take you there.
Right, we'll do.
And we're going to have a cup of tea and a panini. We could do that, no problem. But I tested that one 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago?
And it worked. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. I got a black toe. I was doing a bit of testing. I decided quite epic, went quite high. But it's instant. It goes off in 0.8 milliseconds.
Wow.
Is the ignition time on the I'll wear any E-Light product without doubt. For me, Pete saved my life in 2016, and it was just a general inquiry after one of our track riders high-sided at 120, and they just issued the track riders with the Dainese airbag suits, and he walked away from it, and I was like, I've got to look for something like this on the road. And I went out that night and I was like, E-Light looked quite a good company. And I can remember we had a visit to one of our advanced riding nights where a guy called Lee Lowry come and he blew Haley up, actually. But it was the thing at the time where it was like they were 500 quid each. I'm thinking it's £1,000. Can I justify the money? And what a stupid thing to say. I spent that on a crash helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
And the crash helmet's done. I recharged it the next day, because that's the firing pin. And so the next day I just took the old bottle out, put the new one in, and it was back on my back. I do prefer it to the lanyard one now. Yeah. Purely because with like the adventure bike, you can stand up. You can stand up in the pegs with the tethered one, but you have to lengthen the lanyard, which means you've now shortened your ignition time because it's got longer to travel. So theoretically, when you sat on the bike, you want it as tight to the bike as possible. You know, so as soon as you come off that bike, it pops. My wife's worn one since 2016. It saved her from being paralysed twice. Car drove through her. That was her last shift for Triumph. 2020 March. She's pulled up to an island and a lady driver just drove through her. Wow. Sent her 10 foot in the air. She came down and landed on her head, but because the air vest went off, and she had a little bit of whiplash. but that was the last shift drive.
We're not sponsored by Halite, folks, at all. But,
no, we're not.
Obviously, Lee and Haley have working practical knowledge of them, and as I'm wearing one now and want to be doing a video on it, it's great to chat to it. Actually, while we're talking about sponsors, I'm doing a new thing at the moment where I used to just do my sponsor readouts after I've done the chat, but I want to do them like on camera now. So, it's not just an audio thing, it's a video thing. So bear with me 2 seconds.
You're welcome.
Folks, the podcast in the main channel, I couldn't do this full time without sponsors and stuff. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I am massively thankful to those that come on board. So the podcast is sponsored by Inov. Now, Inov, they do the motorcycle dash cams. They do the single C5 system, which you can also wear as a helmet cam if you like. And they do the K series, which is the dual camera front and rear. I don't think they do the K2 anymore, but they certainly do the K3 and the K5. The K5 is like the flagship 4K front camera and 1080 rear. That's the one I have on the tractor. The K3 and K5, they come with GPS overlay, so it'll actually record where you've been as well. It's an autonomous system, so the second you start the bike, the cameras kick in and they just start recording like any normal dash cam. If you're familiar with a dash cam, you'll know how it works. So you can set it at 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15-minute loops, and basically it just keeps looping around like that. So you've continually got effectively CCTV of your ride. Obviously, you need to think about this because the bike will record everything you're doing, records your speed, it records with the GPS, it will record exactly where you are. The beauty of the system is if you are involved in something where, let's say, you're T-boned or you're not at fault, then whenever you call up your insurance in the event of a claim, the first thing they're going to ask is there CCTV? And if you have one of these systems fitted, believe you me, I've had a couple of people now contact me and say, without the Inov systems running and that video evidence of what happened, without that, they either would have been 50-50 at court or they would have lost it. Because if you haven't got a witness account, unfortunately, the insurers tend to go 50-50 or they'll place the blame with the motorcyclist. So it's definitely worth having. I've now got an affiliate code, an affiliate link with Inov. So feel free if you want to use that, it will be down there. If you don't want to use the affiliate link, just head to inov.co.uk. If you use the code TEAPOT, TEAPOT, you will get 5% off of any of their cameras. And that goes for the Technologic cameras there as well. And I think they're called Viofom or something like that. They're the car dash cam systems that they do. So make sure you head there, and a massive thanks to Inov for their support. Right, I'm back. Sorry about that, dude.
And I do think that system is amazing, to be fair. I just can't afford one.
Well, we'll see what we can do. We might be able to help you out there. You never know. Yeah, they are. They absolutely are. Like I said, I've had a couple of people contact me and say, I bought one more as in support really for me, to be perfectly honest. They were like, okay, we'll buy one and mention that you sent us this way. And two of the guys, exactly what I just said there, they got knocked over. One guy got knocked over he was stationary and a taxi rear-ended him because he filtered to the front of the queue at the traffic lights. The taxi driver got the arse and he rear-ended the bike and knocked him over. And then the taxi said that the bike rode into him. So thankfully, because he had CCTV front and rear, it caught everything. So it went 100% in his favour. So massive, great. But anyway,
if I'd have had that system, the minibus driver would never got away.
There you go.
Like you say, you can't beat a video.
Totally.
Video evidence,
but it can work against you.
It can work against you. Yeah,
it's
like
definitely calmed me down. 100% it has calmed me down because I'm well aware everything is being covered on that bike all the time, 24. As soon as I'm on the bike and the engine's going, it's covering this then. In fact, it even has a parking feature. So I should have mentioned this in the readout. Sorry. It's got a parking feature. So when you activate that, if you stop the bike, walk away from it, if there's any movement of your bike, so if it get nudged in a car park or anything, it kicks in and it starts recording straight away. So hopefully you'll catch, as long as it's in front of the cameras, it'll capture anyone that's responsible. Is he snoring?
He's quacking at me. He sort of grunts at me. He's talking away.
He's bored.
He's going, who's that bald guy on the screen? The thing is, they say dogs can't see it, but a dog comes on the telly, he wants to kill it.
Oh God, yeah. My dog sits and watches the TV if there's dogs on it. She was watching Crufts the other night. Loved it.
Yeah, he loves having a go at them.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I've got two big bulldogs, and he dominates them. He bites one of the bulls. He's horrible to him.
Do they get jealous about him coming out on the bike then, or?
No, because he rules the roost. I think they're quite glad when they see the back of him, to be fair. Thank God for that. He's going out
for the day. He's
going to have a bit of peace and quiet, you know. But, he's got issues. What can I say? He spent the first 5 months of his life in a cage.
Yeah, true. Yeah. You both saved each other, mate, by the sound of it.
Oh, most definitely. That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, dude. How about we fire over to the questions, because there's loads of questions.
Okay.
And we're an hour in already, and we've not even started questions yet. So
I've purposely not looked at these because it would have overloaded my tiny brain.
I had a quick look at some of them just to see what people were asking, to try and make sure I didn't ask those questions. So, right, we'll go to Patreon first off. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Adam86. Excuse me. Hi, Lee, Bruce, and Buddy. Hope you're all well. I must admit, I haven't come across Lee's channel yet, but thanks for bringing it to my attention, and I certainly will be having a look. Yeah, please do, folks. I'll leave links down below, so make sure you head across to the channel, give them a subscribe. My question is, considering Lee's past as a motorcycle tester, does he agree with you, Bruce, that the GS is the best bike in the world? Sorry to bring it up, but someone had to ask. Go on in. What's your opinion of the mighty tractor?
I'd like to say I hate it, but to be fair, the first time I was asked to ride it as a benchmark was 2013 when they came out with the first water cooled. I do believe it was the first water cooled when BMW shifted from air cooled to water cooled. Yeah. And my boss gave me the keys, brand new BMW, and he says, "Go forth and do 400 miles and come back and tell me it's shit." And I went, "Okay, boss." So anyway, I went out, did 400 miles. I come back and he stood there looking at me with his stern look. Hey, little guy, isn't it, bursting? And he says, "What do you reckon?" And I went, "I'd like to tell you it's a pile of shit, but fuck me, it's amazing." Compared to what? Because obviously 2013 we were coming into second generation, or to start the second generation with the Explorer.
Yeah, and I had one. I bought one. 2015. I bought one.
Yeah. And they obviously had a lot of problems in the 2011, 2012 because there was a lot of recalls for headwork and everything else. I'll give JB his due. They not only did the recall, anything that had a scratch on it, any fur and anything were changed. People got virtually brand new bikes back because it was a totally new area for Triumph, was the adventure market. You know, the old Tiger was never an adventure bike, really. It was just their first effort once. And then because obviously the Tiger 800 came out first, and that was a really big hit. That was the very first bike I rode was the Tiger 800 on the fast track, just doing an emissions test. And I did development in all the 800s, which is one of my favourites. I do like the 12. I've had some really good experiences on the 12. And for a lot of people, it's top heavy. And that's why you're never going to beat the BMW because of the BMW engine configuration. That low centre of gravity just makes it perfect for what it's built for. Yeah. And that's why BMW are never going to change it. They're onto a winner. That Boxer engine that they first started with, you know, just gave them, it just handed them the golden ticket for the adventure bike of the year every year, because for the big capacity, I still say that the Tiger 800 is the best mid-range adventure bike out there to this day. The 900, which was my last project, ironically, first and then last, is, for me, it's still the best mid-range bike. The Explorer, I love it. but you're not. It's not far. I mean, the new one is awesome.
Is it?
Oh, it's I do believe it is going to give the BMW a run for its money. I mean,
really?
to be fair, I'd like to test ride it again now when it's in the shops, because I rode it in 2019. I rode it, the very first prototype of the 1200. That shows you how long it takes to get a bike through. I did 10,000 miles on the first one.
Wow.
And for me, it was chalk and cheese to the old one. It was like that. You know, you could just tell the work that the designers have put in it, because we always want to beat the Messerschmitt. You know, it's a British thing, isn't it? For us, the Messerschmitts, we just wanted to, because there was a big war.
Of course.
Mentally,
you're not allowed to mention it.
Between the Spitfire Triumph and the Messerschmitt BMW.
Of course.
But purely because they were class leaders. You know, if Yamaha had been class leader, the war would have been against Yamaha. You know, it would have been. But BMW
is always going to be that mark, isn't it? In the big adventure market, and by adventure, I fully accept the vast majority of people out there that buy it are never going to go anywhere near dirt. But in that section, that big adventure, what's that?
Oh, shit on the dirt. I'm shit on the dirt.
Me too.
I don't even like getting dirty. You know, it's like I hate dry mud on my hands. It's like I never played football. It's like it doesn't appeal to me.
I'm not that bad. I'm just shit off road.
Exactly that.
But what I've always found with the Triumph is it's beautifully refined. It is a beautifully smooth engine. And if you're going 2-up especially, and for certain types of riders, I can see them liking that bike because it is really refined. It's deceptively quick. It's not as quick as your KTM Ducati and your Beamers. You know, certainly the previous model. I've not ridden this new one, obviously, but the previous ones.
Right, to be fair.
well, I've ridden all of them. With my style of riding, and the Triumph is nowhere near as quick as the other three. It's just not.
You'll keep is a lot more on the cage.
You'll keep all three in your sights, but you're never going to beat them. It's like the GS. The GS will keep the Ducatis and the KTMs in the sights, but you ain't going to beat them. Whereas you certainly your KTM, that's like a fucking rocket ship. What an amazing machine! But then again, it hasn't.
I class an adventure bike as the bike that will take you around the world. For me, that it's the bike that it doesn't have to be the fastest, but it's got to be for me. It's got to be comfortable. It's got to be, it's got to have the gadgets, all the gadgets you need, enough, power points and heated grips, heated seats, all the niceties. I was given one, or I was given because I started doing the press launches, which for me was the pinnacle of my career with Triumph. I absolutely loved it, and it was an honour to do it. Late 2015, 2017, we'd just done the 2017 Explorer launch, and my boss came to me. He says, "You need to do me a favour. You're doing me a favour. Tomorrow morning, you need to ride that Explorer back to the UK, and it's got to be there for Monday morning." This was Friday. I've just done 2 weeks on a press launch, and I just smiled and went, "Yeah, no problem." It was December, so it was like a week before Christmas. The warmest it got was -4. All the way back, and it was a good job I'd got me heated gear with me, my jacket, my trousers, and my gloves. And over the Pyrenees, I sat behind a snowplow for 2 hours while he's ploughing snow, listening to Elvis. I just softened the suspension off because you could do it on the handlebars, through the controls. And for me, I just felt that this is the best bike in the world because the confidence it inspired me with to get me back in them conditions. For me, that's an adventure bike because it took me on an adventure. It doesn't matter that I don't want to go off road. I've got no interest in going off road. I can get dirty, but on tarmac. But
I class the modern adventure bikes, the big adventure bikes. I class them as tourers. To me, they're the same market as tour bikes, as sports tourers, because they've got performance.
They killed that market, didn't they?
Absolutely. But that sports bike, that sports touring market is trying to make a little bit of a sort of rebirth, a bit of a resurrection. It's coming back.
Yeah, I think Suzuki have shown that with their new
GT
sports tourer. Yeah.
Even the new Hayabusa, it's beautiful. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Really comfortable.
will it take off and kill the adventure bike? I don't think it will, because people are still buying into the Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Charlie Gorman,
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, the BMW is good. All my mates have got them, to be fair. They were going to buy me a little stamp from a top box, because I love doing a Messerschmitt on my 800 tyre. There's nothing better than overtaking a Messerschmitt in the bends and just give them a little wave as you go past. And it just, you're right there. It just, it gives me a really warm feeling to know that the Messerschmitt was beat. But in saying that, they are a good bike. And BMW are very good at not hiding problems, but they will, when things go in for servicing, they know something's wrong with something, they'll change it without you knowing. Right. And it'll just be slight things, which, in some issues is a good thing, because obviously all manufacturers buy everybody else's bikes because they're your benchmarks. How do you know what to beat unless you know what the best is? Try and spend a hell of a lot of money on buying the competition's bikes, a lot of BMWs, and the same with every other BMW do it. They all do it, because otherwise, how do you know the level that you've got to take your bike to? BMW was always, from the start of the Explorer to this day, is still the benchmark, which says a lot for BMW, that every year they bring out it's better and it's better. But I can say the same for Triumph. There's never been a bike over the decade that I've worked for them that's gone backwards. They always get better and better as years go on. They're always being improved, and that's just the healthy competition of trying to beat the opposition, I suppose. Yeah,
it can only be good, can it? Can only be good for the industry.
Yeah. As for the best bike in the world,
go on.
I truly believe that the best bike in the world is the bike that you personally own and that you're in love with. Absolutely. That's the best bike in the world.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it
makes
is.
You smile.
Oh yeah. If you own it and you love it and it's your baby, that's the best bike in the world.
Yeah. Totally.
Doesn't matter if it costs 20 grand or 2 grand. If it's yours, it's the best bike in the world.
100% with you there, brother. Absolutely. Adam also asks, secondly, what was your favourite manufacturer to test for and why? Well, we've already covered that. Triumph, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Even now, I'm a Triumph man.
No, are you?
Everything that's in them, I was quite bitter at the beginning, especially
for being let go.
Yeah, and especially that the bike that I was on, there was a problem with it that contributed to my accident. And I remember when they told me I was in the wheelchair, and they were like looking at me with their worried faces, and I just said, I just want to come back to work. What's up, love?
He's bored.
I said, he said, you're not going back to work. He says, I just want to come back to work. And they went, yeah, no problem. As soon as you're fit and ready to your job. And I did. I did go back to work in 2019. Shut me up. If I want to go out, you want to go for a wee with. And I was quite bitter, but there is so much tired, love, go to sleep. There's so much of my soul blended in to every bike that Triumph sell up to this point. Somebody put on one of the Triumph forums the other week, what bike would you like to see on the next Triumph stand? And I put one I haven't ridden.
Right.
Because the 1200 is the last one. That is the last one now that they're releasing that I had nothing to do with.
Okay.
I had something to do with, I should say. Everything they come out with from now on, there's
you've
not. I'm not. So I'll be quite interested to ride it, but I'm always going to love Triumph. I think the brand is amazing. I think the people are amazing. I think corporate Triumph are a bunch of assholes. But the people are the people.
Sorry, he's peeping away.
Do you want to come cuddle?
Yeah, I think he wants a bit of attention, doesn't he? Oh.
Yeah,
what's his jumper say? What's his jumper say on the back there?
Oh, he's
Muddy Paw Patrol.
Muddy Paw Patrol, yeah. Is that better? You just wanted a bit of fuss, didn't you? I'm always going to love Triumph, but I've got a lot of respect for, obviously, other brands.
Mm-hmm.
New Norton are going to be amazing. I've got high hopes of BSA. after talking to the guys on the stand at and some of the engineers I work with. I like what they put out. They got a lot of work to do, same with everybody else.
Yeah.
Enfield, I've got a lot of respect for Enfield. Enfield really boomed the last 5 years, 6 years, ever since they stole most of the engineers from Triumph and started their R&D in the UK. So, you know, for them to design, test, it's a British bike. I get that with Triumph, like where people go, yeah, but they're Thailand built. They're built in Thailand. And I'm like, yeah, that don't wash for me. They're tested, they're designed, and they're not ready to be assembled anywhere else in the world till they're finalised in the UK. They're British built. You know, anything can be assembled anywhere. It's where it's designed with British engineers, British engineering. And that's what makes a British bike. And I think that's why Royal Enfield is so strong. And Norton are going to be the same.
Yeah. I think
we,
at the moment,
we as a nation do it better than anybody. We really do.
It would be nice to see. Not a rebirth, but like a rejuvenation. And you're right, it is coming. A rejuvenation in British manufacture across the board. It would be great to see that again, wouldn't it? Like we're actually making stuff here in the UK, and that is starting to happen for sure. Absolutely. I think Triumph for sure. Out of all the manufacturers that I've dealt with, their PR for sure is head and shoulders above everybody. You know, like literally it's every couple of days there's a press release, another press release for either another model or another version of a model. I mean, they're constantly chucking out new bikes. It feels like there's like another type of bike every week. It's incredible.
Yeah. They cottoned on quite early to the demise of printed publication.
They've gone with digital massively.
Yeah, I was, like I say, I was honoured enough to do the press launches, so I would go as lead and tail rider, basically. So I would get to lead the world press for the duration of the press launches, and it became quite clear, especially when pretty much when 44 Teeth saw that an Al Fagan, they started to go more YouTube and digital. They realised that an MCN went from 250,000 copies a week to 40,000, 9 journalists to 2, and magazines just died.
Yeah,
they died a death, and that was part down to YouTube. To be fair,
it's 44 Teeth. It's all 44. I mean, I think people like Andy TMF, they deserve some credit for this, because a lot of the journalists looked and they suddenly saw that the printed media, it just wasn't getting anything. I mean, I don't think even MCN gets 40,000 copies anymore. But like they looked at that and it was just like, oh God, you know, this is where people are engaging. And then Chris and Al at 44 Teeth, they were the first channel, I think, certainly here in the UK, that really went for it in a magazine style. You know, they've gone for your fast bikes, lads mag type style, and gone for it on YouTube. And you see MCN's YouTube channel was dog shit. And all of a sudden now it's really stepped up its level, isn't it? I don't think this is engaging
bless him, he's got a lot more. Yeah. He's got a lot more comfortable, because the thing was,
much more comfortable on camera.
They were great beyond a typewriter, but put them in front of a camera and they got lost.
Yeah, but it's a new skill, and they're all getting it now.
Yeah, and because they missed the boat as such, they it's took them a while to catch up.
Yeah,
Visor Down's doing quite well now. I used to I can't remember the lad's name. I used to have him in my group quite a lot. Yeah, Ben. I used to like taking him out. He's a good rider.
Yeah.
But they sort of missed the boat.
He works for Two Tires now. He works for a tyre place in South London. Ben, he helps run it. Yeah. I spoke to him. Nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Bennett's obviously are still just about holding on. They get quite a few invites. But Triumph started to do, like, especially in America, they started to do like purely YouTubers, where they'd invite them out for like a dealer week and let them ride everything. You know, because you do the press launches through the press launch season, normally from November till March, and then the last one would be dealer week, and you'd have all the dealers come out. Triumph were very good at giving the dealers the same experience as the press, they'd come out and they'd ride everything, before they'd get to put them in their showrooms. And that's dealers from all around the world. You'd have the same as the press. You'd have English day, Italian day, German day, and they're all different. Even the press, they're all crazy different for their own reasons. I really enjoyed the press launches. If I could find a job where that's all I did, was press launches, that would be.
I used to get invited by Triumph in particular. I used to get invited to all their press type launches, but it's certainly been to my detriment 100% for the channel. But annoyed's the wrong word. I didn't want to be a sheep. I didn't want to just be another person turning up, riding a bike with everybody else, because literally a lot of people would have a vid up within a couple of days of doing it. And I can't do that. I can't. It takes me probably 4 or 5 days to do a vid. And by the time the vid's up, everyone else has got the views.
Yeah. For me, as one of your subscribers, I respect you for that.
Right.
I've unsubscribed from quite a few because it's like I've clicked on and I've got like in my notifications, it's like the same press pack 7 times over.
That really annoys me, the press pack stuff.
Goodbye. So I respect the fact you don't do that. And I also find with press launches, there's never a bad review.
No.
On the press launch. And even when it was just magazines, but when they get a staff long-termer, then all of a sudden they've got lots to complain about. And it's like, who's the guy you had on? Is it Simon Weir?
Simon Weir, yeah. Uh-huh.
Used to work for Fast Bikes and everything else.
Right, Mike. Yeah.
Ride, he used to ride, yeah. I had him in my group. In fact, before I had him in my group, before I did press launches, I crucified him at an advanced night where we had a guest speaker.
Right.
And this before I did press launches, and I said, why is it? And he didn't know who I was. And I was working Triumph at the time, and I says, why is it you never get a bad review on a press launch? But then a month later, you're all slagging it off. And he sort of couldn't answer me. And he was like, and I said, is it because if you slag it off, you're not going to get invited back to the 5-star hotel?
Yeah.
And he just smiled at me. And then we was on the Tiger 1050 press launch in Nice. And he came up to me and went, I know your face. Mm-hmm. And I went, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
We sat down, we had a good conversation. He was a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And we had a really good conversation.
I think that is part of the reason why YouTube took off the way it has done in the bike sector. It was because I think it became fairly obvious in the printed media exactly what you just said. On a press launch, everything's great, isn't it? Because people were wined and dined and various other things, and they had a great time. So why would they say something bad if it meant they were never going to get invited back? Whereas YouTube allowed, like, Joe Blogs, like me, I ride a bike like anyone else does. I've got probably less mechanical knowledge than a lot of other people out there. And for me, I just ride the bike and tell you how I'm feeling, how it makes me feel. I know that winds the journos up to the nth degree because
it does, because it's taboo to them.
Yeah, because they pride themselves on knowing why the bike makes them feel like that. Whereas for me, to be honest, I don't care why what mechanically is making me do that. I just want to tell you how it makes me feel. That's it. And I think people suddenly swung to that sort of style of review, like a real back to basics layman's term review. And I think we're not that. The journos for sure aren't doing that, but they're sort of, they've adapted, I think, their review style to be much more camera friendly, much more, a lot more engagement, and they sort of, I think they're easier to relate to as a normal person now, rather than just reading it. You're watching it, and it's easy to see when somebody bullshits when they're on camera, isn't it? So.
Yeah, exactly that.
You can't hide.
You keep more worried can say anything. And I think that was a brave move from Triumph to allow that, because it was unknown in the industry at the time. It was let's try and just get every A-star review we can. Whereas Triumph decided that, do you know what? Everything's going to YouTube. We just need to let them be honest.
Yeah.
And let the bikes sell themselves. And the quality is good enough to do that. nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's never going to be the perfect bike, because how can you make it better the next time?
Yeah. But it's also, I've had this from people saying you've never reviewed a bad bike. You've never said a bad, like, why are there no bad bikes out there? And I'm like, well, because as a layman, as Joe blogs, there's not really any bad bikes out there. There's bikes that aren't as good in certain aspects as other bikes, but I don't think there's any bike I've chucked my leg over in my world where I've just been like, this thing's horrendous. I'm never, ever, 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 ever want to ride this thing again. They've all been all right. Some are better than others, for sure. Some are comfier, some are, punchier, some are more dynamic, some are more luxurious. But I can't think of a bike which is utter dog shit, for sure. That I've ridden. Some might say, well, the suspension on that is fucking terrible, or the fueling on that is fucking terrible, and in their mind that makes that a shit bike. But for me, it's just like, okay, suspension's not as good. This bike's got better, but oh well. But anyway, sorry, we've got to crack on with questions here.
No problem.
5 hour blooming. That's half an hour to answer one question. Demo Chevo says, after confirming that the GS is actually the best bike in the world, what's the most memorable test ride you've had for all the wrong reasons? Well, we've covered that, innit? That's the one with you.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the one that put you in hospital.
Yeah, and I still love that bike. If I could own one, I definitely would. I don't know, that sounds crazy because it's my nemesis, if you like. But yeah, as a bike, when I say it's a bike I like to own, it's the bike I'd like to own where I go in the garage, I flick the light on and I talk to it dirty, and then I take it out on a Sunday and I bring it back Sunday on a nice sunny day and I polish it and I talk to it dirty again and I put it away. And for the rest of the week, I get my 800 Tiger out and I go and abuse it.
Right.
It's that bike that I just want that relationship with. I don't want to abuse it. I just want to love it and talk dirty to it, and every now and again go out there and rag its arse off, and then bring it back, get it polished, talk dirty to it, and put it away. So yeah, if I had the money, that would be the bike I'd own. Gotcha.
Don't really know what else to say to that one. Next one, Adam B. Hello to both of you. I'm a long-time listener, first-time questioner. Welcome, Adam. Do either of you have any biking-related regrets? Mine would be selling the first motorbike I had at 16. It was slow and would have limited use to me today, but it gave teenage me the freedom and independence I craved, and was the catalyst to see me dump time and money needed to pursue big bikes later in life. Keep up the good work. Look forward to listening to the podcast while taking the dog on a long walk. Right, Adam, good question. So, biking regrets.
My biking regret would be that I didn't do it earlier.
Nice.
I wish. I mean, I'm 50 years old now, and I'm never giving up. If I'd have lost my legs and my arms, I'd have found a way to get back up. I really would. That's, for me, it's my passion. It's my release. It revitalises your soul. Yeah, there's nothing, as you know, only a biker will know, there's nothing like riding a bike.
I was reborn, mate. Reborn when I
you can have all the problems in the world on your shoulders, but you get on that bike and they all disappear, for whether it be half an hour, or a full day's riding. They disappear. They're all back when you get off the bike and you turn the key off. But that release, I just wish I'd done it as a younger man, and had. Would I have survived? I don't know.
That's what I often think.
Maybe my mum was wise to know, because as a boy racer, I was pretty wild in the car.
Yeah.
Maybe my mum was wise enough to know that you're not ready for it yet. And when I was 30, when I asked her why now, I've loved bikes all my life. When people had pictures of I had Barry Sheen on my wall, and I didn't ride a bike. But I just loved them because of that first smell of speedway and everything else I sort of went through as a kid. But I never got to ride one until I was 30 legally on the road, So, yes, I wish I'd done it earlier, but maybe my mum was a very wise woman. And the reason I'm 50 is because she never let me. And ironically, my mum passed away 4 years ago. My mum and dad moved to Spain. And my dad, he rang me up and he says, because she wouldn't let him have one. She was like, you have one, you old fool. because we used to talk bikes all the time, and she used to just glare, because obviously I was test riding. He said, "Oh, what's new? What's this? What's?" Yeah. Anyway, he says, "I'm going to get a motorbike." He's 74. He looks younger than me. I'll call him Dorian Gray. And he said, "What do you reckon?" I went, "Either a Bobber or Bonneville will suit you down to the ground." Anyway, he rings me back 2 weeks later. So I bought myself a bike. I said, "Have you? What you got?" He says, "I bought a brand new Honda Goldwing."
What is the first bike?
He hasn't ridden one in 34 years. He now looks another 5 years younger, and he's absolutely loving it.
Oh,
he's got a 52-year-old girlfriend, and he's living life to the full.
Living the dream now, because, why not?
Yeah, and he's joined I can't remember what they're called. They're a Spanish group of riders. He goes out with them every third. He sent me videos. He's even started videoing. I couldn't believe it. He went, he bought himself a little Ghost S Drift.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he sent me the videos. And to be fair, his riding, his positioning is really good. Yeah, and I'm like, do you know what? 74. I hope I'm still riding at 74. You crack on, Dad. Don't put too many miles on it, though.
Live your life.
Don't put too many miles on it. That's my inheritance.
Mate,
so
have you ridden it?
He's already got. Not the last two generations.
Wow.
The one, probably the generation before the last two. A beautiful bike. Honda engineering.
The Goldwing, I've said it before on this podcast, the Goldwing is probably my biggest surprise of any bike I've ridden so far. I thought that is not going to be my cup of tea. It's going to be a bag of poo. I'm not old enough. Oh my God, I loved it. It is when you put it on the backcountry twisty roads, that bike comes alive. It's amazing. Whack it in sport and for the backcountry A and B roads, it is amazing. It's boring as sin on a motorway or dual carriageway, but put it on the twisties. Oh, loved it.
And it does showcase Honda's engineering, and the bikes that they can produce.
Yeah.
And then they sort of let themselves down with an Africa Twin, don't they? How can the Goldwing be that good and their adventure bike be not? It's not bad because there isn't a bad bike. You're right, but that for me, that bike could have been so much better because it was an icon. You can't bring that bike back and have it worse than what the original one was. The other one had more soul.
Yeah, in terms of like road riding, not off-road, but road riding in that a big adventure bike sector, I put the Africa Twin just above the Triumph personally, because although I think that the Triumph is a better bike and it's probably, well, it is faster, it's a bit more dynamic. The engine on the Africa Twin gets me. It's that engine note. It's just got a bit of soul. Whereas the Triumph is so smooth. It hasn't got soul. Whereas the Africa Twin does. But it's so. But then after soul like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but then after an hour, that seat makes you realise that you don't care what it sounds like. You just want to get off it.
It is the most uncomfortable seat I think any bike in the world has. I think I would rather sit on a plank of wood than that Africa Twin seat. It's horrendous.
Exactly that.
I don't know what it does. I mean, the first 20 minutes, you think, "Oh, this is lovely. I don't know what everyone's moaning about." Yeah. And then a switch goes, isn't it? Yeah. And it just starts sawing off the inside of your life.
So what's your biggest regret?
God, biggest regret. I don't like to have regrets, so I try not to dwell on them. Really, I just sort of, move on next, do something better next time. God, bikes. I think I regret buying a Tuono, because the ownership experience was so bad compared to the riding experience. Like the engine, that V4 Tuono, the engine is amazing. It lives, it breathes. It is incredible. And when it's working, I think it's probably that and the new Super Duke, two of the most engaging bikes I've ever ridden. They gripped my soul. You're saying about, bikes that you want to fiddle with and turn around and have a look at. Those two bikes for me were just like they're my Italian hookers. You know, I look at them and just, oh yes, yeah, I'll have an evening with you. But so, if you're watching, Mrs. Teapot, sorry. But living with the Tuono was just horrendous. It was just such a temperamental beast to live with that I'll probably never buy one ever again. And I'm gutted because I love the look of it. I love the sound of it. I loved riding it when it was working. So, yeah, I think that would be my regret. Right. Cheers for that one, Adam. Next one, Ollie Rye. Hi, gents. I have a little would you rather. So, would you rather eat a live worm or be locked in a room with a tarantula for an hour, but you don't know where in the room the tarantula is? Take care, gents.
Fuck that. I'd eat a bucket of worms.
Would you?
I fucking hate spiders.
I'm not bothered by them.
Oh, I hate them. My dad used to chase me when I was a kid, and that's what did it. Psychologically damaged me. The next door neighbour came around years ago, screaming her head off. She got a spider, and I just quivered. I shouted at the wife, and she looked at me as if to say, "But you're a man." I went, "Oh, whatever." And I'll get the wife. If we got a spider, she has to get it.
My mate Turner absolutely hates spiders. He's exactly the same.
Yeah.
He just can't cope with them. I would have the tarantula. I actually ate a worm when I was like 3-4 years of age. I remember my mum telling me a story of, you know, she had me sat in the garden and she's come out and I'm there with a big earthworm like that. Munching away. So yeah, been there, done it. Cheers, Ollie. Nice one.
You've done the worm.
Yeah, I've done the worm. Dave Houghton. Question for Buddy. Woof, grr, woof. I don't know what that means. Buddy, what's that mean, pal?
He said bring it on.
Yeah.
So bring it on.
Next one, Mark Fulcher. Oh, yeah, these are always good.
That's...
Nice to see that the quality of the guests has gone up a notch. I mean, who doesn't like a dog? So a couple of questions for you both. Question one, what is the optimum number of toilet roll sheets to use when, excuse the vulgarity, wiping one's arse? I keep getting told that I use too much. Just wondering if there's an answer to this. Also, scrunch or fold? Okay, right.
As much as needed is what I say. I don't care if there's a shortage, as much as needed. I have a thing about toilets that really wind me up, to be fair, as we were talking about toilet roll. And I think all toilet designers should be brought to, that should be brought to some sort of, for what they do. Because no matter where you go to the toilet, you have to pull the door to get out. So you have a piss, you wash your hands, and then you've got to touch the dirty damn door that the last person that didn't wash his hands opened. Mm-hmm. No matter where you go. It's not rocket science. Push to leave. What is it? If I can push it open with my foot, I've not got to touch that door, I'm happy. But they don't do it. Every single toilet, you've got to pull the handle that the dirty bugger before touched.
There must be a reason for that. There has to be a reason for that.
Well, I can only think that you might actually kick the door open and smack somebody in the face with it. Yeah, but I'd rather that than touch the door handle. So yeah, toilet designers, beware. You're horrible. Do your job properly.
I've actually had this discussion about toilet paper, toilet roll with some mates fairly recently. I've found as I've got older into my 40s, you seem to develop this never-ending arse wipe. Like in days of old, I could wipe my bum in like two runs. Job, one hit, done. And then these days, it feels like it just goes on forever. It's like, what is going on? I must be so full of shit.
Yeah, it's old age, isn't it? Big fat ass. Yeah. There's more to wipe, isn't there? There's more to wipe now at 50 than there was at 20.
I think you're right there. Have you ever used the sort of Japanese, Korean toilets? Have you ever used them?
No.
Mate, they're amazing.
I used to be amazed at the German ones. You press a button and they revolve and clean themselves. To me, that was amazing.
That's the Japanese and the Oriental ones. They've got.
You still have to pull the fucking door to get out. Went to all that effort and bother to make a clean toilet seat, and you still got to touch the dirty fucking door handle to get out of the place. It makes no sense to me.
Oh man. Okay, scrunch or fold? That's the other hot topic.
Oh, scrunch. Well, At school, you'd never scrunch, would you? Because that stuff was like scratchy, bloody.
That was like greaseproof paper, wasn't it? That you used.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you could cause yourself an injury. You had to fold
slide off.
Yeah, but yeah, scrunch. Just get it there, big handful, and away you go.
Oh no, I fold. I fold. Oh yeah, fold along the perforations. Absolutely. Keep it nice and neat.
Yeah. You got to get a few folds in because there's nothing worse than the finger going through. That's a nightmare in itself, isn't it?
That's the army technique, isn't it? One sheet, tear the corner off, poke a hole through the middle, do the job. You ever seen that? Yeah.
Because we're a nation of toilet roll lovers, aren't we? We just seem to buy that shit till it's run out.
Toilet roll hoarders. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right, second question from Mark Fulcher. Now that international and domestic rules are freeing up and we can all get out and play on our chosen steeds, do you think that the extortionate prices of fuel is going to influence people's decision on when and how far they go? Can GSs run on red? I don't think it will, to be honest. I think people will just spend more money and go, I think. What do you think?
I actually think it's going to make people look at smaller CC bikes.
Really? Okay.
And I think that they're going to dominate the market because of the price of fuel.
Interesting.
Because you still want to get your kicks. Yeah. If it goes on, if it keeps going up. I mean, it's like myself and my wife. We looked at it the other week. So let's go to Wales for the day. Mm-hmm. And we never actually went because the weather turned to shit. But my wife's got a 2015 Tiger 800 because she loved that one. She did most of the development work on the 15 plate. And I've got a 2012, which I love because it was the first one I pretty much test rode. But I've got to put the expensive fuel in. So it's 25 quid a fill. Mm-hmm. So one tank is 50, or both bikes, that's 50 quid. Mm-hmm. You go to Wales to get back, that's another 50 quid. So before you've even looked at having lunch anywhere, you spent 100 quid on fuel, which is ridiculous for a day out.
Yeah.
I mean, in our job, it's great because they pay for the fuel. You know, that's why I always worked and never went out on my own bike. But now I think it will push people to go for the smaller CC capacity bikes. I think that's going to be quite a big chunk of the bike market because they're going to get more miles for smiles.
Yeah, I think if this continues, the high fuel prices, if it continues for any length of time, then I totally agree with you that I do see that happening. But I think if fuel was to come down a little bit again, I think people would make the sacrifice and just go. But the old tin hat comes on, doesn't it? And you think, well, hang on, we've just gone through 2 years of COVID, 2 years of people working from home or not being able to work and being paid by the government. You think, the trillions that the governments have forked out for that globally. And now all of a sudden there's a fuel hike and the energy crisis, has been building for quite a while. The skeptic in me suggests that the amount of revenue they must be recouping through fuel, especially, are they going to lower prices anytime soon? Probably not. It's a nice way for them to regenerate the pots. So, I think you could be right on that one. Also,
with the tax, how do you make people buy more electric?
Yeah.
Where you just put the fuel up, to make it more desirable to go electric.
But then the price of electric's going up. I was chatting to Alec from English Electric Motorcycles Tuesday night. He was picking up a Rebelli that I'd had. And he was saying that. He was like, their monthly electricity bill for charging up all their bikes, it's quadrupled now. It's quadrupled. Yeah. It's an incredible amount of money that he's going to have to fork out every month just to run the shop. And it's like, Jesus, how do you make enough money to cover that now? Because you can't pass that on to customers. That can't happen, can it? No one will buy anything.
Well, no, because that's right. You'll be putting them off the fact that if you can't afford to keep charged, how are we supposed to?
So, yes.
So yeah, I think they will go smaller capacity, and there is a lot more people shifting to smaller capacity bikes because it is.
Yeah. You're right.
My wife does motorcycle training on Saturday. She volunteers CBT training, and the amount of people now, they're fully booked all the time, that are coming through just doing the CBTs, because for them they can go and get a 125, whether it be a scooter, whether it be a motorcycle, and that has just cut their transport. They've either lost their company car, or because, like you say, they're now forced to work from home, and that seems to be booming. The smaller capacity bikes, so I think that will just keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I started doing the small CC sort of bike reviews 3 or 4 years ago now with the wee Sinus, and I totally agree with you. I think there's going to be a boom in small CC with the amount of people that are coming into biking. A lot of people don't want to get onto the big CC bikes, and then obviously, as you've just mentioned, with the price of fuel, you get more bang for your buck, don't you, with a small CC? So I'll go back on what I said. I think you're totally right. Small CC is going to explode. I don't think electric bikes are going to boom yet. I can see electric cars doing well. I could see electric cars doing well, but I think there's going to be a hold off on the bikes for a wee while yet, for a good another year or two, I think.
Yeah, I think I tested an electric bike not so long ago. Absolutely amazed me. I always thought that I was 100% petrol head through and through.
Yeah, well, great fun.
But I reevaluated myself, and I class myself now as a 2-wheel addict. Yeah. As long as I'm not the engine. Mm-hmm. As long as I'm not the engine, then I'm in for it. As long as something's going to propel me along, then I've got to say. And where electric is the commute market. Mm-hmm. The bike I was testing, they're going to boom. They're going to sell a lot of bikes in the city, especially in London. Yeah. With the product they've got, and I think that's where that market, the electric market, it's not about touring, it's not about going fast, it's the commuting.
Yeah, totally.
And that's where it's going to dominate for a few years, just before the technology actually catches up with what people are going to need. Yeah, I think. But yeah, I think it's on the verge of exploding in the commute market.
Absolutely, Electric belongs in the cities at the moment, for sure, certainly in the bike world. I've had the Energica Rebelle a couple of times now, quite a few times now, and they claim like a 400-kilometre range, which when you take out onto the open road and ride it like you would a petrol bike, for shits and giggles, nowhere near that. You'll maybe get 100 mile. But put that in the city, you'll get 400 kilometres out of a charge. What's that, 250 miles, 260 miles you'll get out of the bike. Yeah.
It's one bike I'd like to ride, have a go of. But
it's great, I love it.
The price and the fact it's Italian. I mean, come on, electrics, Italian. Have they ever gone hand in hand? I don't think so.
I have been riding electric. I'm saying riding. I've had electric bikes for review since 2017, 2018. I've done a load of different Zeros, a load of different Energicas, and the Harley, the Live Wire. The only bike I've had a technical issue with is the Zeros. The Energicas, touch wood, no problems with them. No problems.
Yeah. So that surprises me, that does with Zero.
But then, if you look at it, the Energica comes from the Moto E background. They were the Moto E bike, weren't they? Obviously, I think Ducati's taken it now. Or maybe it's a split. Is it a split manufacturer series for this year in Moto E? It used to be all Energica, but I think it's Ducati's in there now as well. But anyway, they had a catastrophic issue in their first year, 2018, 2019, with Moto E, where the whole factory burnt down. It was that bad, because the way Energica were, I'm not out of turn speaking here, I think it's common knowledge. The way Energica were doing it at the time was they were getting lots of different components from loads of different manufacturers, and everything was coming together. Then they had a critical error in one of those components, which led to the factory burning down. So Energica then went, we are going to do everything. So they just took everything in-house, and literally they dealt with the whole shebang. All the components were designed and built by Energica. And so far it seems to be working. Because in terms of range and in terms of looks and rideability, I think Energicas are the best electric bike out there for me.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's a beautiful looking bike. The very first electric bike I ever rode was a Zero in 2010, and I did the durability on it. I could not break it for shit. I tried.
Could you not?
Oh, I did not try. Oh yeah. And at the time we were doing the street triple, and on track, this thing left that thing standing through the bends. They're just so linear because obviously it's just you know.
Yeah.
So the corner speed was just sublime.
And they're so heavy, they stick to the road, don't they? Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean back then we were charging with a kettle lead. It just looked like a kettle. Yeah, just like a kettle lead. 8 hours, plug it in, and I did a full 1,200 miles on it. I never broke a thing, an indicator, nothing. Never broke a thing. And I tried. I really did try with that bike.
It was the charging I had the issue with. The Zero the one. In fact, two have had charging issues. The bikes themselves and the components fine, but it's just charging. They just had an issue where they wouldn't charge. So that's all it was. Right. Mark's got one final question. I think this one is more specifically for the dog, for Buddy. Why is it to find the perfect place to go for a wee or a poo, do you spend 10 minutes looping around in circles? I tried this the other day, but was frowned upon in Asda car park. Very good, Mark. Very good. Thanks very much.
To be fair, it probably takes me longer than him. You know, if you call it short, it takes me that he just do it anyway. He don't care. He'll cock his leg up if you stand still long enough. Yeah. The only thing he don't piss up is my bike. To be fair, he's never pissed up the bike. No, I'm quite impressed with that.
Well, I suppose that's his territory anyway, isn't it? He spends so much time in it.
Yeah.
So it's already his.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Next one, Charlie Callard. Evening all, hope you're all well. My question for Lee, do you have a favourite CC range you prefer to test and why? That's a good question.
Yeah. Not really. Like I say, if it's got two wheels and I haven't got to be the engine, I love a 125. I'd like to have a monkey bike in my garage. That would please me. I went on a subscriber meet last year and there was 8-9 monkey bikes turned up. I'd say best weekend I ever had. It's miles and smiles.
Yeah.
I built 2 Super Cubs a few years ago now, 2015, 16, I think it was. Wife still got hers. I had to sell mine, unfortunately, when COVID times hit hard. I'd say I'd never sell them. But, they've got 140 Moto Psycho engines in from the Isle of Man. Hers is bright pink with flowers all over it. I said, what bike do you want, my love? She says, I want the push bike that I never had as a girl. So I built it for her. And I actually loved riding the pink one more than I did my orange one.
Really?
It's just that it'll do 70 mile an hour on drum brakes. I mean, if that doesn't exhilarate anybody, I don't know what does. You know,
brakes.
Yeah, when it comes to CC, like I say, as long as I've not got to be the engine, I don't care.
Yeah,
because it's a motorbike. As long as it's got 2 wheels and an engine, I'm happy.
I'm the same, mate. Absolutely same. Yeah. As long as it makes you smile, whatever.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, big or small, the Rocket. I love the Rocket. I mean, that thing just, that's another one.
Yeah.
But any CC, I don't mind.
I really want to get hold of the Rocket in the summer because I've only ever ridden it over New Year, and it was like I think the highest it got was 3 degrees, and you just can't ride a bike like that in those temperatures, shitty, wet, muddy roads. So I'd love to take one on a bit of a spin somewhere.
My claim to fame to that bike is I'm the first man on the planet to get 3 points and a £60 fine on the Rocket.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. And I tried to blame the wife because it was actually her bike at the time. She was testing it. She looked like a child stealing it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, people used to say to her, where's the rider, love? And she used to look at me and say, are you taking the piss? And I just had my hip replacement 4 weeks before because my hip failed. It was a full story, but obviously I got back to work. I did nearly 30,000 miles. The hip failed. and it basically the ball joint died. So I had to have a new hip in the end. And I had a new hip 4 weeks later on my birthday. It was 19th of November, 2019, sorry. I took her bike out. She was on the Rocket. I said, I'm back to work now. And we had to share a bike. And these points come through. When that was you, that was. And she got the fuel receipts out. And she went, no, weren't it? You. So I had to take the points. So, yeah. But it was fun getting them, I've got to say. There was no traction control on this Rocket. And it just left black lines everywhere. And I couldn't stop doing it. To be fair, if it had traction control, I'd have probably lost my licence. Because I'd have been a lot faster.
It's an insane amount of torque. It's like 200, is it 230 odd, 235 Newton meters of torque? It's insane how much torque that bike's got.
It's a beautiful, I missed it because I was broke. But they fell behind with it to the point where when I did come back to work, I did manage to get a bit of time on one. It was an amazing design team, and it is an amazing bike. I never really liked the original Rocket because it wouldn't go around bends. You had to fight the bloody thing. But
it's lovely.
It's just beautiful. It's a Rocket that corners, absolutely beautiful.
I've not ridden the Ducati Diavel yet, but everyone tells me if you like the Rocket, take the Diavel out. So I want to try that.
It won't come anywhere near the Rocket. You'll be disappointed if you did it. If you rode the Rocket first, then the Diavel. I think you'd be disappointed with the Diavel. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
But if you rode the Diavel first, you go, oh, this is key. And then you get on the Rocket, you go, fucking hell, this is amazing. It's in my top five. My top five triumphs of Rocket. And I regret that I never got to do any real development work on it as such. Right. Because it was an amazing team that they put together to make that bike. And it would be a legend forever, that bike. For sure.
I'm gonna have to try and get my hands on those two bikes then this year. See what we can do.
Yeah, ride them back to back.
Yeah. That'll be the plan. Charlie, I'm not going to read out what you say next, mate, but thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll have to go back and have a look at that one. I'm interested to know what that is.
Oh, no, it's just, next one, Brian Longimanis. How you doing, Brian? Hi, gents and buddy. I have a mate, I know it's hard to believe, and his dog is one of the best behaved dogs I know, but when she sees a squirrel, all bets are off. A question for Buddy. Do you have an arch enemy in your life?
Yeah, my wife. Oh, she can't get near me.
Really?
And it's her fault. She put us together.
Yeah.
Now, if she asks permission, like if she goes to him first, he'll let her sit down next to me. But a lot of times he'll either be in my dressing gown or my jacket. You don't actually see him. He's just in the way. As soon as she comes within 2 foot, there is a video on his Facebook page. And all she did was touch my hand. Oh, he nearly took it off.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He'll go for everybody. And the thing is, he'll go for my daughter. And it's like, you just need to stay away from him. Now, when we're out and about, he's good as gold. He doesn't have a go at anybody,
But when he's home in his own territory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's like, don't come and sit next to you on the settee. He will try and rip your throat out because you're too close to me. He's like that protective. Wow. And I find it funny. And my wife will go, he bit me. And I'll go, to be fair, he didn't draw blood, so it don't count. And it's just the way he is. I say, he's got issues, hasn't he, mate? It's just, I suppose, because he does. I've never had a bond. I've had dogs all my life.
Yeah.
I've never had a bond. My lad can't get his head around it. He's like, Dad, you're a big, ugly, tattooed biker. Why the fuck have you got a fanny wrap?
Fanny wrap.
You should have 2 pit bulls on chains. You should growling.
You got a chihuahua.
That's the way. And I got a fanny rat. What? Sorry, mate. I didn't mean to call him fanny rat. Yeah, he calls him a fanny rat. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean it. He said it. And yeah, I mean, some people probably find our relationship quite strange, but like I say, he's got me through some dark times. He really did. Yeah. And that's the bond we got. When he goes, I don't even think about it. I mean,
just don't think about that sort of stuff. Oh.
They live 20 years.
Wow.
So I've already told the kids, look, be nice to him, be nice to your brother, because he inherits everything. You want to live in this house, You be nice to the dog. Because if he wants you out, you're out. So, wow. I do love the bond that we've obviously got, you know, for me. I miss him all day when I'm at work now because I can't take him with me. And when I get in, it's just cuddles. It's like, oh, where have you been? If I go out on the bike, it took a bit to get him used to work bikes because he was like, why aren't you taking me? Mm-hmm. And then he realised that the Tiger 800 is his bike. If I get that bike out and I don't take him, he knows he's going. Yeah. If I don't take him, don't come home. Because he won't come near me for days. He's like, you took our bike out. He gives you the cold shoulder treatment, does he? Yeah, totally. I took it to tyres. And then down the road, it took 2 days. Because I took our bike, or his bike. So, yeah. So, sorry, next question. Well, Brian's got a question for you. He says, where do you see the bike industry in 5 years' time? I think it's going to flourish. I think it really is going to boom. More so of the comment we made earlier, because I think that it's a transport that a lot of people are going to go to that probably wouldn't have done in the first place, but because now they're looking at, they don't want to get on trains, they don't want to get on buses. That's you hear that in the news every day. They're travelling again, but they've lost the confidence. Yeah, it's amazing what COVID has done mentally to people. My daughter's not the person she was. My 15-year-old daughter is a shell of the girl she was. Oh yeah, her confidence is coming back slowly, but and it's not just her. You look around, it's all that generation, the ones that were teenagers that never got to be teenagers, that are just living in fear of the world, and mentally it's destroyed them. And I think that's the same with a lot of generations when it comes to confidence in getting on buses. I'm still sanitising my hands everywhere. And I'm having to look for it now because it's not quite easy to find as it was, but it was everywhere before. Yeah. And I said to a woman today, it's just habit. Because I said, have you got any hand sanitizer? And she went, no, I haven't. She said, we haven't had any for a couple of weeks. But it's habit. And I think people's habits are going to change in the way they travel. And as a second vehicle, I think motorcycles are going to fill that gap beautifully, to be fair. Yeah. Whether it's electric, whether it's small CC for the commuter market. I think a lot of youngsters now are actually starting to look at motorbikes, whereas they got put off for a few years. I do think they need to change the test system. I think it's ridiculous. Yeah. The way we set our testing system in this country. Yeah. It doesn't encourage anybody to want to get on a motorbike. No. And it doesn't help them either. For me, I'd rather see a full A2 bike test, and then I'd like to give them 12 months where they've got to go and do their advanced. And if they complete their advanced training at their own leisure, within that 12 months, that automatically shoves them up to a full license. Yeah, they've not got to take another test. Because what they teach them to pass a test, that's ridiculous in itself. I know that they've got to just teach them to pass a test, but there's so much more they could teach them, but they don't have to. Yeah, they don't teach you to ride a bike safely, and they don't teach you positioning and like roadcraft. They don't teach you the ability to read a road that's going to keep you hopefully alive, and fairly safe. They don't teach you that, do they? So, I mean, but then with a car, they don't teach you that either with a car. It's basically what is the bare minimum we can teach you to get you on the road so we think you're safe to other people, and then it's over to you to figure out how to be safe yourself, isn't it? Basically, that's what it is. Yeah. And it's so heavily penalised against bikes compared to car. A 17-year-old can go out and do a bike test, and if you've got the money, you can go and buy a blooming Bugatti Veyron if you want, straight away. Yeah, if you've got the money to insure it and buy it. Whereas with the bikes, there's all these restrictions, and I don't think that's right. I have said in the past that maybe that is right to keep people safe, because when you are younger, you maybe still have that. You haven't got the what's the word? The self restraint, possibly, to
to calm yourself down on a bike, because there is so much power there, isn't there? Even on a, even on a blooming 600cc, there's an incredible amount of power available.
Oh, you get yourself in trouble really quick.
Of course you will, yeah. But as Dom, I was chatting with Dom Herbertson about it, and he said, well, a 17-year-old can go out and buy a Ferrari if they want. So, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Just if you pass the test, you pass the test, and off you go. I think your system, whereby you have to do the sort of an advanced level to prove that you know about positioning and a degree of roadcraft, that to me seems a much better way of doing it, because you've proven that you have the knowledge to at least be as safe as we can possibly make you at that stage. Now you go off and learn. Yeah. We'll give you the A2 license. Now go and learn your craft. And when you've learned your craft, come back and we'll give you a super bike. Rather than do an A2 license, come back in 12 months and you can do the same test again to prove that you can ride a bigger bike. So I've just got to do a slalom in a car park. This is coming from a transport industry that hasn't changed legislation for decades. I think it was the 1960s was the last time the law was changed, and that was you have to wear gloves. Before that, it was a crash helmet. But pretty much, you can ride down the road naked as long as you've got a crash helmet and gloves on. And gloves, yeah.
We're decades on, and you're still in the dark ages. At least see approved kit from head to toe. And if you're caught not wearing it, my lad had a scooter, and the very first day I caught him in shorts, I took him off it. I'm not one to preach what everybody should wear. You see people in shorts, but I think if you instill it into them when they're young, when they're going into the scooters, they'd save the NHS millions. The amount of skin grafts they wouldn't have to do. And there's plenty of jeans that are CE approved. And trainer boots that are CE approved. It doesn't have to be your full Gore-Tex touring suit. There's trendy kit out there. You just got to sort of implement the fact that they need to wear it.
Yeah, and it's the kit-wise, it's getting much better, as you said. Like even just jeans nowadays, biker jeans nowadays. A lot of the time, they're good-looking jeans. The problem I find is they're all fucking skinny jeans. Trying to find like baggy boot-cut biker jeans today. I can't find any. They're all skinny, because I've got big thighs and big calves, and obviously a big waist. But even if I get a big waist, the legs are still too thin for me. I can't get biker jeans to fit, sadly, at the moment. But anyway,
I've got to lose a bit of timber. Yeah, crack on.
Yeah. Right, last one of the Patreon questions. Like I told my wife I'd be done by 9:30. That's not happening, dear. Sorry.
Yeah, but she knows you're full of shit by now. We're 80 podcasts in.
Exactly.
And she just nods at you and goes, "Okay, my love, I'll see you tomorrow."
Yeah, absolutely. You're not wrong. Last one of the Patreon questions. Jason Smiley, even in all. How you doing, Jason? For Lee, do you know how many bikes you've tested? And could you pick out a top 5?
Oh, blimey. There's a fair few, to be fair. I couldn't put a number on it. And so many different tests as well. But my top 5's pretty easy. They're all triumphs, to be fair.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My top 5 triumphs. Number 1 is, we'll work backwards. So number 5 is the Rocket. Because that is just an awesome piece of engineering.
Number 5? Wow, okay.
Yeah, it is number 5. Number 4, I put the whole 800, including the 900 Rally Pro. I put the whole Tiger, because I worked on all of them. And every single one gave me the same sort of just love for that machine. For different reasons, as they got better and things changed. For me now, I do think there's a bit too much technology on bikes, but that was fly-by-wire. Fly-by-wire just opened up a whole new era of motorcycles. So that's number 4. Number 3 is the Thruxton. I love that as well, because that is a wolf in sheep's clothing. That is, I used to go out looking for victims on a Saturday on sports bikes, just so I could come past them through the bends old man on an old man's bike, and they just couldn't get their head around it. And the torque on that bike, it's just
good looking bike as well.
Yeah, and to be fair, that was, out of all the press launches I've done, that's the most memorable press launch ever. It was electric. There was journalists trying to buy them with their credit cards at the coffee break. They were
really
that. They're all walking around with hard-ons, because at this point, this was like, you've got the old Thruxton, the 8 whatever it was, which was, it's not a decent classic bike, but the new Thruxton just catapulted Triumph into a different league. 2000, end of 2015, 16. So that would be number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the Bobber. Never
ridden one.
I did. There was only 2 test riders that wanted to do it. The original one, me and another guy called Wobbles, who's a legend. He did 68,000 miles. I think I did 45,000 miles on a Bobber. Jeez, the most I did in a day was 700 miles. I rode back from Barcelona to Calais. I was done. I walked like I'd been riding an horse for 2 weeks the next day. And it was -4 all the way back.
Jesus.
But what an amazing bike. I love that bike and the engineering that went into it. And then number 1 is the Speed Twin.
Again, never ridden it. I hit one.
Yeah,
a rear-ended one.
You should borrow Mr. Flyers.
Yeah,
He'd be nervous, because I think he looks at it like it's his porn, And I get it, because that's, for me, even though it tried to fucking kill me, and it's the only Triumph that's ever tried to fucking kill me, I love it. Yeah. And that's the thing with testing, you see. What happened to me that day will never happen to any Triumph customer ever, because that problem was resolved. All right, it meant I had an accident, but that's the whole
point of the job, isn't it?
That's the whole point of the job, I never got a penny for that accident. I never expected a penny for that accident, because as a development rider, that's what you sign up to, and that's part of the job. Is we're making the bike safe as we can for the public to enjoy. That makes motorcycle industry a lot safer, and it is so safe now. Motorbikes aren't dangerous; people are dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's, apart from the Norton V4, if anybody's got one, don't ride it because you're not allowed. But I don't believe, apart from that bike, there's any dangerous bikes out there, that are maintained. There's no production bikes that are being sold that are dangerous, because it's people that are dangerous. It's not bikes.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Jason has a second part of the question. And for Buddy, do you piss up your dad's bike like my dog does to mine? No, he likes your bike, doesn't he? Well, it's his bike, isn't it?
Yeah, he did piss up my leg once, but I had left him, and then when I come back, he pissed up me. Is it out in disgust?
You deserved it.
And I sort of took it on the chin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it on the chin. I apologised. He pissed up me. I apologised. That's our relationship.
I just realised we haven't done a sponsor readout in ages, have we? And
no.
We better crack on. Right, folks, we are also sponsored by Ultimate Add-ons. Now, there is some blurb for me to read out, but you know the score. I use the Ultimate Add-ons Helix strap mount and the case for my phone, which I've got the iPhone 11 Pro, I think it is. So basically, they do dustproof and shockproof cases for all different types of phones. They also do a generic one. So you look for the specific case for your phone, and then you have to find a mount. They do a whole different range of mounts. I use, and the one I swear by, the only one I'll use, is the Helix strap mount, which is in their pedal bike, the bicycle section. And it's just like a ratchet strap with the mount, and you attach the case to it. And it allows me, as Lee is showing right there, right now, I use it because I can attach it to just about any bike out there. And most importantly for me, in 4 years of using it, I have not had a single issue with the camera. There's people have issues with vibration affecting the camera on smartphones. I've never had that when I've used a Helix strap. The only time I've ever had that is when I've used a different mount. Use the Helix strap, whatever case it is for your phone, bosh, job done. They also do mounts for action cameras and things like that as well. Head to Ultimate Add-ons, so it's just ultimate with ADDONS.com. If you use the code TeapotOne with the number 10, so TEAPOTONE with the number 10, you'll get 10% off any of their range. That also works on the Dango website as well. Dango Design do the big sort of crocodile clip that you can attach GoPros and other action cameras to. So you don't have to have a mount anywhere on your lid. You just put that clip on there, or you can attach it to any part of the bike as well. Again, Teapot 110 will get you 10% off of any of them. I better do another sponsor readout because we're cracking on with the podcast and I forgot. We're also sponsored by the Influencer Store, and I'm going to read out their blurb. Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. If you've bought any of my merch at TeapotOne.com, all of that is dealt with by the Influencer Store. If you want a merch line or you have one at the moment and you're looking to change, I totally recommend them. All I do is every month I just get, like a commission, a percentage commission on any sales, and it comes in. You will earn more if you go with people like Teespring or Spreadshirt or any of those lot, but their quality is poo. It really is compared to the stuff that the Influencer Store do. I had people complaining about Spreadshirt and Teespring type of garments, 3 or 4 washes, like details were coming off, or the T-shirts were shrinking or going all misshaped. I didn't want that. Influencer Store, they do Richie Vita's stuff as well. I think they do Lamb Chops and TMF as well now, a whole host of other people. Good quality stuff. If you've bought it, gets my seal of approval anyway. Right, dude, apologies for all that. Let's crack back on. So how are you for...
The Influencer Store is going to be the way I'm definitely going to go once I do get into merch. I'm nowhere near big enough to even attempt that yet. And as for Ultimate Add-ons, what a company they are.
Brilliant, aren't they? British company as well, Scottish.
I had my first one in 2012, and you could only ever find them on eBay. They just started doing Phone Pacific cases, and I've had one. It's cost me a bloody fortune, Mike, because I have a new phone. I mean, the first one, people used to laugh at me because I've got an iPhone 6 Plus. Yeah. And the Ultimate Add-ons case, you could kill somebody with it. You could pretty much beat them to death and then ring them an ambulance, or beat them to near to death. But amazing. I've never had one fail in all the cases I've had. And I've done a lot of miles with them, to be fair. And like you say, they've never damaged anything. I'm on an iPhone 12 now, and I'm still putting it in my 11 case with a bit of tissue just to wedge it in.
Sure. I can't afford a 12. I'm still on the 11 Pro, me.
But amazing company, and he's a lovely lad. If you ever see him at the bike shows or anywhere, go and chat to him, because do you know what? They are expensive, but you pay for it. With anything within the motorcycle world, you get what you pay for. Absolutely.
And what I really like about them is that, they listen to feedback. When you give them feedback on something, they're on it straight away, which has been good for me. I've enjoyed that. Right. Let's, how are you for time? Are you okay for time, mate?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm off for 4 days now.
We've been going for nearly 2.5 hours.
As long as we're done for Tuesday. Hey.
Yeah, I know. Right. We'll go to Facebook, because Facebook's normally the last one I go to. So I'm really sorry to everyone that normally leaves questions at Facebook, because we don't always get there. So I'll go there first. I don't know if we're going to get through them all, but we'll see what we can do. So that is facebook.com/TeapotOne. I'll leave links for all of Lee's socials as well. First one, Richard Higgett. That's Bandit Man. How you doing, Richard? He's a top guy.
Good old soul, he is.
He's a lovely fella, isn't he? And his missus.
He is, yeah. They both are, and his wife, yeah.
Yeah, lovely folk. He's a top guy.
She does some cracking overtakes.
Does she?
She does. Her ride, yeah. I watch all their. I followed them for a while.
Yeah.
And I got to say, she does. You can just see the planning she puts in. She is a beautiful rider, and I have said to him, I reckon if she wanted to, she could leave him standing. It'd be hard for us to keep up.
No one ever wants to hear that, do they?
Yeah, she's smooth. Women are smooth. I'm sorry, but they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Right, Richard says he's a top guy and has a great YouTube channel. He might not say that now you said that.
yeah, probably.
He said, played a part in testing and developing many of the Triumphs we know and love. Ask him if his latest budget bike will make the distance.
I bloody hope so.
Come on. Tell everyone.
I wanted to get back to fundraising for some sort of charity work this year. I'd made that decision last year as COVID was, because that's how we started, and I just feel I want to give something back. So originally it was air ambulance, and I'll always support air ambulance. I have a direct debit every month come out of my bank. I'm always going to support them. They're amazing. Yeah. There's another guy I follow called Helmet Head. He just makes me laugh. He's a funny guy. He really is. His channel, I've started watching him. 200 subscribers. He's nearly 4,000 now. He's funny. And he put up a challenge for a charity ride this year, and the challenge was to find a big CC bike for £1,000 or less. Believe me, that's bloody hard work.
Yeah, I bet.
The amount of people I offended offering them 900 quid, they wanted to come and smash me face in, some of them. And it's to ride the compass of the UK. So in 6 days, dressed as superheroes, we're going to ride to the furthest northern point. Yeah. We're doing it backwards because the actual furthest western point is in good old Scotland. Yeah. So I think it is, yeah. So the furthest western, the furthest southern, and then the furthest eastern. And we're going to do that 6 days. Decided to do it 2 up because I couldn't afford to run 2 bikes that distance, that's for sure. Because this is the idea of the new tank bag as well, because I bought a bike that buddy pods won't fit on. So we've had to buy the bags to bag.
Right.
I tried to buy everything. And then all of a sudden a friend of mine, called him Monsieur Pulio, he ran me up, he says, I found your bike. He says, it's Minter. 33,000 miles. He says, an ex-police bike, and it's owned by an ex-copper. And I went, he said, and he'll let you have it for 900 quid. I went, you're a star, you are? He went, yeah, Scotland. So we hired a van. We went up the next day, and it was what it was. It's a 2001 Pan-European. And that's going to be my charity bike. I'm not going to say what superheroes we're going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. The charity, I'll give you the link for that, because any support that anybody can give us, it was the charity really more than the challenge that sort of drew me to it. Because when I watched his video, ironically, he bought a Pan-European. So it seems the only decent bikes you can buy for less than £1,000 is a Pan-European. Yeah. So he's got the guy that's using his videos called his sidekick, because he classes himself as a lord that does everything for him. So these are the guys I went on the monkey bike adventure with, and they were just a good crack. But the charity is the Children's Rainbow Trust charity.
Right.
And it's for families and parents that are dealing with children that are either terminally ill or they die.
Yeah.
And I can't comprehend how hard that is in the sense of knowing that that's coming. We lost our daughter 25 years ago.
Oh, man, sorry, I didn't know.
And she died of cot death. And for me, it was devastating. And I still, to this day, I'm 25 years in and I still cry and I still have my moments, But for parents to know it's coming and to have to deal with that,
man.
I believe that they do, they need that support.
100%. Well, folks, check out the, if you're listening to the podcast, remember to look at the show notes because I'll put the link there. And if you're watching the vid, have a look. Make sure if you're watching it on the TV, get yourself onto your phone, a tablet, a computer, have a look at the vid description, and there'll be a link there for it as well. Please do what you can. I know times are hard, but do what you can.
There's a few vids up like where I bought the bike and everything else, and I will be doing a full tour of it all. Then that's going to be the next sort of tour videos, just to show people the journey.
Awesome.
But yeah, any support, even if it's just £1, the pound can do a lot.
Definitely. I mean, I get this. I mean, how can this not be an advert? It's not meant to be an advert. I don't mean it like that. But I get people saying that on Patreon. People are like, I can only afford a quid a month. So, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, geez, you think about it, £1 a month. If you have a couple of hundred people giving £1 a month, that's a couple hundred quid. So, geez, just anything at all people can give for the charity, then please do, just whatever you can. I know times are tough. And as Lee said, if you go to his channel, so Buddy the Biker Dog, again, there'll be links down below. You'll be able to follow the journey when they do the challenge as well.
May is when we're doing it.
May.
We're off in May. Yeah.
Nice one.
So,
I'm doing one.
Next.
I'm doing one in June with a couple of boys. We're doing the Land's End to John O'Groats in 24 hours, not using any motorway, and we're doing that for charity as well. So I can't wait for that.
That's a good slog.
Yeah, it will be. I'm looking forward to that. It should be good fun. Karen Rogers, all the best men own a Chihuahua.
It's true. That's a woman saying that.
Yeah,
is it
exactly.
A woman?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they know they do.
Next one, Simon Broom. Hi, both, and hope you're both well. Yes, thank you. My question is, jump forward 20 years, and what bike are you now both riding? Electric, petrol, or other? Also, do you both hope to still be doing what you're doing now, or something different? Oh, that's a good question for the moment. I'll tell you that. Wow.
20 years.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this at the end of the year at the moment. Well, I'll always be doing this, but I don't know if I'll be doing it full time because it's hard. It's really hard. Financially, it's really hard. So I don't know if I can make it to the end of the year at the moment. We'll see what happens. I'd love to be, but we'll see.
I hope so.
What are we going to be riding? I think
Battlestar Galactica. I
think some form of alternative fuel. I don't think electric's the answer. I genuinely don't think electric's the answer. There's that new, is it Kawasaki? Was it Kawasaki that has developed a hydrogen engine?
Yeah, I think it is Kawasaki that designed.
Something came out recently, didn't they? Yeah. And then there was a thing just when COVID hit, there was a thing about a new fuel, a synthetic fuel that had been developed, which you could basically put in a normal petrol car. You could just put it into a normal engine and it ran. And the only byproduct was H2O, water.
Yeah. See,
that's all gone
that would be the best
definitely
outcome.
But it's all gone very quiet now.
But with a different fuel.
Yeah. But it all seems to have gone very quiet at the moment. The old tin hat comes on, doesn't it? And you think, because there's so much money involved in energy. So who knows?
There's so much money involved in fuel.
Yeah. I don't think electric will be the answer if I think nuclear takes over, as in we become nuclear power reliant. So there's a lot more nuclear power stations to generate the electricity. Because I think if the world turns to electric power, where are we going to get the electricity to do it? I don't think we can generate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and the infrastructure's not there,
the infrastructure's just not there.
Yeah. So I don't at the moment, I don't see electric being the answer. I think it's going to be a temporary step, but I don't think it's going to be long term. Is 20 years? I mean, 20 years isn't that long, I suppose, at the end of the day. So, sorry, my watch is talking to me. So 20 years may well be within that stepping stone to whatever it is that we're going to. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
For bike, I'd like Battlestar Galactica. Do you remember them bikes? Run out of road, you could just take off. Find your own road. Find your own twist through the clouds. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
A motorbike in the sky. Imagine that. I mean, wow. I mean, we've got freedom. You feel free as it is on a motorbike. Imagine if you could just go off up into the sky, into the heavens. 3D motorbike.
The road ends and you carry on. Wales would be amazing, wouldn't it? Wales would be just open up a whole new genre of amazingness as you just sort of take off over a valley.
I'd still hit a mountain or hit a sheep up in a hill somewhere.
Yeah, jumbo jet. As for what will I be doing? Well, I'm definitely going to be riding to the day I die. I think it'd have to be something really catastrophic to stop me doing that. Am I going to be testing? No, it's not it's a young man's job, to be fair.
Right.
And there's not a lot of work as it is. But what would I like to do if I wasn't test riding? Probably own a cafe, a motorcycle cafe.
Yeah.
So I could stay in touch with the biking community, because they're an amazing community. Bikers are amazing. They really are. For me, you can chat to them all day. You've got something in common. You've got a love. Doesn't matter how old, where you're from, how limited your language is. Motorbikes will always make you communicate to each other.
100%.
And my first trade was chef, so I think I'd like a buddy shack.
Nice.
Yeah.
You've thought about this, haven't you?
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to test forever. I'd love to think I could, but to do 400 or 500 mile day every day, day in, day out.
It's hard. It's hard going. It is hard going.
I mean, I decided the other week, and I walked away from it. But the thing is, I've got to an age now where I don't bounce anymore.
Yeah,
I sort of slam.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
the bouncing days have gone.
I can sympathise with you there. I was doing an off-road day on Friday down in Salisbury Plains, and I came off, and I remember the feeling as, when you get to that point where you're just like, I've got to abandon ship, I have to jump now. And I remember just sort of chucking the bike to the side and coming off the bike and just thinking, my shoulder's coming out, because I'm going to rugby tackle the ground and my shoulder's coming out. Oh no. And thankfully it didn't. But you're right. You just don't bounce as you get older at all, do you? Everything hurts.
But it doesn't put us off. That's the thing.
God, no. No.
Once you're a biker, you'll always be a biker. I mean, look at my dad. All right, he was banned for a few years, but he's back on it now.
Absolutely. It's in the blood, isn't it?
Yeah, 20 years maybe. I'm flipping burgers and chatting shit. Oh, back in the day. Oh, I'll tell you.
You youngins have got it easy.
Yeah, you youngins can't ride for shit.
Yeah, that's flying about in the sky. Oh, back in my day, we had roads to ride on.
and rubber.
Yeah, exactly. Nice one, Simon. Good question, pal. Good question. Anders Holtman, which intercom do you use with your pillion rider?
It obviously means buddy, does it?
Yeah.
It's more telepathic, as in he'll give me a look and I know what he's saying. Like, he'll look at me and I know I've got to overtake the idiot in front of me because we've been sat behind him for 3 bends. And if I miss an overtake, he gets the right grump on.
It's quite critical,
because he'll look at me and he does. He looks round as if to say, "Pull your finger out your arse. What are you doing? We should be in front of this muppet by now." I know, mate. But you can't always do it safely. But you don't see it.
Get him a little IM or a ROSPA high-vis vest.
Yeah. It's like he's in control of the speedo because I can't see it. So if we ever get pulled, it's like you can talk to him, mate. He's in charge of the speed. It's his fault. He told me to go faster.
Roy Holdings asking, what kind of crash helmet does Buddy wear? We mentioned that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I've really, because he's so small and he is very small for Chihuahua. So I've got like this one, which is still a little bit too big. And I don't know if you've ever seen Motorbike Millie. I did get him this one.
That's brilliant. It's that little lad.
What's
it called?
But it is
Virtue.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's like a Virtue. It is a pet helmet, but it's sort of, you can put it on.
I can't believe that dog lets you do that. Wow.
It's still a little bit too big for him.
Oh, smile for the camera because that'll be a great thumbnail.
So he pretty much, he's got like a soft hat that he likes when it's cold.
Yeah.
Coming out there, mate. And then wear his goggles. I'd love to get my pair of rec specs because they really do invest in the testing for animal welfare when it comes to the goggles. They make them for the military.
What are they called?
Rec specs. They're an American company. They make them for working military dogs. Okay. Bomb disposal, and they're a perfect fit for the dog's face rather than goggles, because goggles do put quite a bit of pressure on. But they're like 80 quid, and I can't get them to say that the extra small will fit him. I've measured his head, and they're like, they might be a little big. But I can't spend 80 quid on something that don't fit him because he won't have it. So at the minute, it's just goggles, isn't it, mate? But he quite likes his goggles until he gets to the point where he's like, I've had enough now, I'll just flick them off and I'll have a bit of fresh air. But yeah, and he only has his hat on when he's cold. We hit a bit of rain. There's a video up, I think, where we hit some rain. It was beautiful when we left. And it started pissing it down, and he just gave me the dirtiest of looks. I said, why are we out here? And I had to ride along with my other hand, sort of covering his head. Like that. Awesome. But as long as he's with me, he's happy. But if anybody wants to make him a crash helmet, that'd be ace.
Well, there we go, folks. Yeah. If you want to get involved with that, make sure you drop Lee a line again. I'll leave links down below. Riccardo Angelini, he says, looks like my Thor. So I think that's another Chihuahua owner.
Thor's a good name for a Chihuahua.
Thor, yeah, brilliant.
I tell you, he was a Beowulf in his former life. I'm telling you,
Brutus, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's all the Facebook questions. I'm going to have to shoot in the next sort of 5, mate, I'm afraid. So we'll jump across to Instagram, and let's try and pick maybe 2 from Instagram. How about that? So that my Insta is at TeapotOne Insta, and again, I'll leave links for Lee's channel or Buddy's channel down below. Let's have a little look. Okay, Dave the Sidecar Dog. He says, we met Lee and Buddy last year at the Ride to the Wall event. Has he ever tested a bike with a side chariot? And if he has, how terrified was he? That sounds like there's a story to me.
No, I haven't, because I would be terrified. Because them things don't go around corners. They're like, they might be quite fun, but for me, it's taking a motorbike one step too far on it. But I do like his setup, and his dog is beautiful, and he's got rec specs. He wears rec specs. Yeah, his dog. And he goes anywhere with him. Same thing. He's an ex-squaddy. Had a really good conversation, and for his mental health, that dog has saved that man. And it just shows amazingly what animals can do for people.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing the affinity you can have with an animal, isn't it? And as you said, how they can save you. They can get you out of a dark place that a lot of people find themselves in for whatever reason. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right, next, let's do another. What time are we at? Let's try and grab another one if we can. Let's have a little look.
Have we beat the record yet? We've done 4 hours.
No, we've not. We could do. I know we could do. Absolutely sure. Sean Clifford's asked, what's the worst bike you've ever tested? Well, we covered that earlier. Okay. Pete Brewer, 681. Great to have the podcast back. Keep up the good work, Bruce. Thank you very much, Pete. I'm glad to be back. A question for you both. Have you and Lee noticed over the years how bikes, even tourers and sport tourers, are made for the rider and totally impractical to take a passenger? What are your thoughts on which bikes would be good for 2-up touring? I think they're starting to tailor for the pillion a bit more now, certain bikes. What do you think?
Yeah. We always did a lot of work, pillion work. To get the ergonomics right for the pillions. Normally it would be at least 40% of the road mileage accumulated on that bike would be done 2-up.
Wow. Really?
Just to get on Triumphs. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the manufacturers, but definitely on Triumphs. The trophy, which unfortunately, because it was a tourer and the touring market flopped really when the adventure bike market just dominated everything. I always said that bike was built, that bike you bought to keep your wife happy. So you could go and do 500 miles a day, because it was ergonomically good for the rider, but it was just as good for the pillion. And I think same with the Honda Goldwing, the big BMW Tourers, they are built as a couple bike. Then you get onto the things like the 800 Tiger. Now, for me, if I'm just going to be the rider, 800 Tiger is my choice.
Yeah,
I would take that over the 1200 all day long, because it's more fun. It's just more controllable, more flickable. You can jump crests. It's just, for me, but 2-up, I'd go, do you know what? I want the 1200. Because the 1200 Explorer is the same. It's built with the pillion in mind. That's the perfect. It's roomy. It's just a better bike. So I do think that they do take. I know Triumph do, because if you want to spend 20 grand on a bike and your missus is going on it, she better be comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they do take that consideration for the bigger bike market. I don't think in the smaller bike market it's necessarily something that they consider as much. You still have to do the testing.
Yeah, you've got to think who's going to be the buyer for that type of bike. And smaller CC bikes, I would say the vast majority of people aren't going to be going 2-up, are they? Whereas, as you said, bigger CC bikes, the adventure bikes, the sport tourers, the bigger CCs. Yeah, I for sure, there are going to be an element of people who will have the other half or somebody on the back for sure. Yeah,
the BMW is very comfortable as a pillion. I've not done a lot of miles as a pillion on a BMW, but it is, when you sit on it ergonomically, there's a lot of room. And then obviously there's other bikes like the Honda, the Africa Twin. That's not as good. But then the rider comfort's not as good. So I think they definitely do think of the pillions. It just depends what category of bike you're looking at. And if you want something that's really pillion friendly, then you've got to go for a big capacity bike, big tourer, big adventure bike. Yeah, there's the perfect pillion bike. I mean,
my missus fell in love with that bike. She was like, buy one. I was like, it's £32,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I think my dad paid €34,000 because he's in Spain.
Geez. Wow.
But he's happy.
Yeah, well, as we said before, does it make you smile? Are you happy on it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's the bike for you.
Exactly that.
100%.
Yeah.
Right, dude, I'm afraid I'm going to be the one that's going to have to pull the plug. I'm going to have to shoot.
Do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure. I was a bit nervous when because
really?
It's like, yeah, I was at the start. Before I come on, as such, it's like, wow. For one, I was shocked that I was even asked, and I appreciate that. It's been an amazing experience. Because, like I say, normally I'm the stig of the bike world. So, we'll see if I get Triumph's lawyers knocking on my door tomorrow, I suppose.
Yeah, you'll be fine. When we chatted at the NEC, I knew I was like, I want you on the podcast. I want to have a chat with you on the podcast. No, it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
But definitely, we'll definitely arrange for you to come up to the visit centre and we'll do something with me, like the air vest.
Beautiful. I thought great idea.
When you get your format worked out, what you want to do with the video. But definitely come and have a look at the visit centre. You'll love it. And we can kill two birds with one stone.
Awesome. We will sort that. I will be back with you in 2 seconds just to get the final rundown. Folks, this isn't a sponsor, but I just want to say a big thanks to everybody over on Patreon. I'm sorry, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for all those of you who've taken the plunge and come and support me with the TeapotOne channel and the podcast over at patreon.com/TeapotOne. A huge thank you, because I literally couldn't do this full time without you. So thank you for your support. Lee, thank you very much, mate, for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you. It's been amazing.
Is there anything you want to plug? Any shout outs you want to give before we end the chat?
really just the Children's Rainbow Trust charity ride. Yeah. Even if it's just, a bit of moral support, and a few people are going to meet us along the way. Anybody's welcome to do it at any part for any amount of time, or, whatever you want to put into it, whether you want to do a bit of riding. There's a few of us that have obviously committed to the whole challenge, but just have a look at the charity, because I can't contemplate what those parents are having to deal with. And I think anything that, and I'm riding a bike and doing what I love. And if I can help them by doing that, then that's a win-win situation for me.
Absolutely.
I'm getting something out of it, and they're getting something out of it. So really, that's it. Anybody who wants to pop to my channel, you're welcome. Don't feel that you have to subscribe. There's no pressure.
I will leave all links for all of that down below, folks. So make sure you check them out and give them a follow.
But no, thank you very much for inviting me onto your platform. I mean, you've got me addicted to podcasts. I've done them all.
Have you?
I've done. I started on what's the one just before Christmas. I can't remember his name now. Terrible names.
Gorilla Biker.
Yeah, Gorilla Biker. I started with him and I worked my way all the way back, and then I ran out, and I was like, "Oh shit, I need more." I've just found another podcast. Do you remember 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps? Do you remember that series? No.
Not remember it. It had Ralph Little in it from the royal family, and Will Mellor, who's been on all sorts of different things. It was like Men Behaving Badly, a little bit like that, but in the early sort of 2004, 2005 times. Well, they've started doing a podcast now called 2 Pints, and it's brilliant. It's just them sat, just being like two geezers, probably our age, within sort of 10, 15 years of us. I think Ralph's like 40 now, and Will's 46, 47, something like that. It's brilliant. It's just two boys having a crack, having a really good laugh. It's worth checking out. 2 Pints, it's called.
I'll have a look. Yeah, 2 Pints. Yeah, I'll have a look.
Right.
It passes the time.
Thank you
very much. You're a legend.
I love him. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Folks, check out the show notes down below. Make sure you give Lee and Buddy a follow. Folks, thank you very much for spending the time here. Thanks very much for all the support and the comments. People saying they're glad to hear the podcast back. It's great to be back. Keep doing your thing. Keep on getting out there. Look after those that you love. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha! I nearly forgot the thumb.